Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we appreciate you tuning us on in because we are trying to have a good time with Dave Schrader tonight. We're going to talk some paranormal. We're going to talk about the Palmer House, which he just purchased, which is also very haunted. It's going to be a great night of radio indeed, and we're glad you're along for the ride as we say hello to race fan in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman and his goatee with a silver and flat six, taking home the bronze medal tonight. Kitty Caddywhack, Robert Lamoth, Road Flare, nice to have you all here. Thunderhead and Frankie B, good to see you. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk ghosts and paranormal without being lubed up. So, Mel, thank you very much for the lube. We appreciate it. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship and T-Bone, my man. How you guys doing? Luscious Jules, good to see you tonight as we continue on with our roll call. Hi there, Erica Stover. Amanda is here. Amanda will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Lisa Smith, good to have you here. And Jerence Carter, nice to have you. Little Robbie Mejinas, how you doing there? Give you a little tip of the cap there, Robbie. Good to have you here. Thank you. And Carol Amario, thank you for coming on in. Mama Catherine, mwah, there she is. I love you, my dear. Hope you had a great day. I know you're going to enjoy tonight's show, so be ready. Just be ready. United We Stand, thanks for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call and Operation Shutdown. Nice to see you tonight. Necessary Dialogue and Eternity Eternal. Nice to have you both here. East Coast Turnaround is here. East Coast Turnaround on X will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Jessica Davenport, nice to see you. Integrationing, thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Emperor Penguin. Thanks for coming on in. And Algaray over on Twitch. So pumped up for Dave Schrader tonight. Did 2,500 sit-ups in 6 minutes. No water break. 6 minutes, 2,500 push-ups. That's impressive. Very impressive. Scrolling on down. Up next, we say hello to Laura Lobbs. Thank you for coming on in. Desert Rat, nice to see you tonight. And Undead Jed, thank you for joining us as well. I'm Hardcore over on X. Yes, tonight will be very haunted. Very haunted. It's going to be good. Walter Kochavinsky and Jay Truth Seeker, nice to see you both. As we scroll on down, there's Fap Nuts. And who else do we have here? Pandora, welcome. Scrolling on down. We say hello to Brian J. Corey over on Facebook. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Benno from Oz. How you doing, brother? And let's see here. Benno, let me know. You're in Australia. Let me know if I'm alive tomorrow. I'd appreciate it. That way I know I made it for another day. In the studio, thank you for joining us as we scroll on down. And who's next? Warden Dragon. Nice to see you. And Christy Lynn. Where is Dave? I'm Dave. Don't worry. Little Davey Schrader will be here in about 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes, I promise. And let's see, who else do we have? We have Blue Cruise. Nice to see you. And the Chromacast podcast. Welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing? SJ, nice to have you here. And let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are in for a treat tonight. Radio host, television star Dave Schrader is going to be here, and we got to add entrepreneur to his title as we get ready for a night of paranormal here on the show. We are on YouTube right now doing our roll call as we say hello to Millennium Man, Paramarv. Nice to have you here. Shogun, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. Julie Rios, nice to see you. And we're about 30 seconds away. I want to remind everybody the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. And of course, I want all of you to have a good time in hour 2. Put your questions in capital letters and I will get to them. For now, do me a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the really happening news. We're together, my friends. Oh. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show coming at you tonight. Paranormal researcher, paranormal experiencer, paranormal television professional, entrepreneur, radio host, a guy with a great goatee. Dave Schrader is going to join us here momentarily to talk about his new project, the Palmer House, and all sorts of hauntings. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for a creepy story. We're going to follow that up with Robin Haynes coming in and the cryptid Q&A. Now, let's get right to our special guest tonight. Dave Schrader is a well-known media and television star whose name has become synonymous with serious paranormal investigation. With decades of experience in radio, podcasting, and television, Dave has helped bring credibility and mainstream attention to the study of hauntings, unexplained phenomena, and eyewitness encounters. Known for his grounded, respectful interviewing style, he has hosted and appeared on numerous paranormal programs, earning a reputation as a trusted voice who balances curiosity with skepticism while giving experiencers a platform to be heard. One of the most iconic locations connected to Dave's work is the legendary Palmer House, often cited as one of the most haunted hotels in the United States. Schrader has extensively explored the history and reported activities surrounding the Palmer House, blending historical research with modern investigative techniques to uncover why the location continues to generate such chilling reports of apparitions, unexplained sounds, and intelligent responses. His deep dives into haunted locations like the Palmer House have helped him redefine how paranormal stories are told. And best part about it is he now doesn't have to ask for permission. He owns the place. Let's bring him on in. Dave Schrader, my good friend. It is always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
I'm doing great and doing better now that I get to hang out with you for a couple hours, my friend.
How many more titles do you need? Television star, radio host, podcaster,
Wait, don't dismiss it, Dave. I just crossed my 20th anniversary in podcasting and radio. So now I am legendary radio and podcast host.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Legendary. Ask me. I've got quite the resume. I'm always happy to share and brag where I've been and what I'm doing.
Well, we can now put entrepreneur in there as well because of your great business venture that you are into now, the Palmer House, which we will get into momentarily. But Dave, you know what? As you know, in radio, we always have people coming in who may not know you, your story, or myself or our story. So I always like to start off an interview with you telling us a little bit about why the paranormal excites you. Why have you chosen this path for your life?
I've been steeped in it my entire life. I've had strange experiences growing up. I had a Bigfoot encounter. I've had ghost encounters. I saw alien craft, something unknown in the skies over Trout Lake, Washington. And I've just been in the right place at the wrong time or the right place at the right time, depending on what day of the week I'm working on. But I'm fascinated by it. And maybe that's because that part of me, that childlike part, that imagination and excitement is still there for watching little bits of magic happen and still know that there is some of that around us and we should be paying attention to it more.
When you look back, did you ever think, if you go back, say, you've been doing this now 20 years, if you go back, say, 30 years, 40 years, did you see yourself becoming a media player in this field? Did you see yourself, potentially going on television and talking about this? Or was that just a pipe dream or even a thought?
Here's the funny thing, right? I firmly believe in manifestation and intention setting. When I was 8, 9, 10 years old, my buddy Rick and I in Illinois, Rick Lindy, we would record on our little Kmart black tape recorders, Hardy Boys Mysteries, or we would do radio shows. Hi, it's Dave the Wave and Slick Rick, and we're here to count down the top 10 songs, and just nerds. And I loved radio. I used to contact local radio legends in Chicago, where I grew up, and they would call me back. And they would answer my questions as a kid. And that really struck me. And that started at 8, 9, 10 years old. And it took me till I was 38 before I really got on real radio. I did college radio in 1888 to 1990. And I loved it. But there wasn't the money in it, as you know, with radio. And I had a big family to feed. So I kept going out and doing sales jobs. And then it was about November of 2005, my former partner, Tim Dennis, said, hey, I've got a 1-hour spot to fill on Sunday nights. Do you want to do a radio show? And I said, sure. And he goes, what do you want to talk about? I said, how about the paranormal? Aside from Coast to Coast, there really are not a whole lot of radio shows that do that. And he said, all right, let's give it a shot. And we launched. And after our first month, they gave us 2 hours on Sunday. And we stayed with that station for a few hours. Then we jumped over to a much bigger talk radio station, 100,000 watt radio station, KTLK, and went on from there. And it just kept growing for us. So I was really excited. I left that 3-4 years ago, took about a 2.5 month break from radio altogether, and then launched my new show, Paranormal 360, on WCCO radio here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and my regular podcast, The Paranormal 60. So in a way, it's always been in my blood. It's always been a fascination. And setting those intentions when I was a child have brought me to the place in my life that I continue to grow. It's brought me into TV. I've authored a few books. I'm continuing a few more. So yeah, it's always been part of the plan. I used to sit there and practice autographing things, Dave, so that someday maybe people would want my autograph. And it's pretty exciting now when somebody wants me to sign a picture or one of my books or, their elbow, whatever. I'm here for it.
what is your favorite part?
To autograph?
Excuse me.
The elbow.
Excuse me. What is your favorite part of being and I know you're a very humble guy. You probably don't think of yourself this way, but what's your favorite part of being a paranormal celebrity?
I think because I tried to carry on the kindness and empathy that those radio show hosts showed me when I was a kid. So I always wanted to be somebody that was approachable. And I really like the fact that I have all of these people that have let me into their lives all around the world and consider me a friend, and sometimes it hurts their feelings when I don't know who they are. And they forget that they're the ones listening to my radio show. They're the ones watching me on TV. They're the ones reading my book and social media. And they kind of get that disconnect. But I just find it really beautiful that people care enough and think enough about me that they've made me part of their world. So that's what really kind of rocks my socks when it comes to being in the paranormal. And I'm not keen on the word celebrity, but I want to, I hope I'm your paranormal pal, whoever you are out there. If you're tuning into the shows or watching me, hopefully you can kind of go along on this ride and feel like I'm asking the questions you want to know. I'm having the experiences you would be interested in having, and not just containing it to listening to other people tell me stories. I hit the road. I go all over the world investigating strange claims and checking these places out for myself. So that's been the biggest part for me, is just having the chance to travel, be a part of this, and meet so many remarkable people.
You are one of the most grounded people that I know in this field. There's a lot of people in this field who are very emotional, some egotistical, some who are thinking their star is a lot brighter than many others. But you have been, in the time that I've known you, probably 6-7 years now, so even keel and just so straight and narrow on your path towards building up this paranormal juggernaut that I believe that you are. And yes, I will put you on a little bit of a pedestal there, Dave. It's my show and I can do that. Okay. But
I'll allow it.
How have you been able to kind of keep the ego in check, keep yourself grounded, like you said, to be that humble, loving guy that just accepts absolutely everybody who comes up to you, who may just want to shake your hand or tell you a paranormal story or ask for a picture?
Again, I'm no different than everybody else. I just had an open platform, and it's been important for me to be somebody that's accessible, because what we talk about is weird and it's spaced out and it's bizarre. And there are people that have had these feelings and these thoughts for maybe all of their life. And if I'm a place that they can feel safe, that makes me really happy. And I like to provide that safe experience like you do with your show. This is where we can come together as one. And no matter how weird things get, it's fascinating because we're all exploring this together. And sometimes I like when there are shows that are a little controversial that I know people think, you're nuts, there's no way this is true. And other people that are like, oh, Dave, you believe too much or you don't believe enough. That's okay. Let's keep the dialogue going, right? Let's continue to discuss and see what goes on. And I don't look at myself as a celebrity. I look at myself as a lucky guy who manifested his future, his life, and got everything that he's wanted.
You are in my opinion, one of the, I'll say it. What the hell? I don't care. I'll say it. I look up to you. I consider you one of my idols in this field, my heroes in this field, because I think with that type of attitude that if you could do it, I could do it with this show. And granted, we're on different paths, but it's still, media is media. And I always appreciated, and this is what a lot of people don't know, Dave takes the time to take your call. Like if I call Dave up and say, hey man, I need some advice or just need to shoot the breeze or even to say hello, he always takes my call. And that's just who you are. And I think it's just rather impressive, man. It really is. I'm not trying to butter you up here or anything, but I think you need to know sometimes people need to hear when they're a good human, and you're one of the good ones.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. It's doing what we do too puts us in a special place because we're either loved and revered or were hated and villainized. And, you know, I had a post up about a week or two ago, and I said, you know, what's funny is every day I'm a lucky man. I'm so lucky that so many people around the world reach out to me and say kind things and supportive and loving things. And I hope they're doing that for the real people in their lives too, not just somebody that they respect on a radio show or a TV show, because I know how much it means to me. And it's funny though, no matter how much good things are said to me, that one nasty comment, that one, you're such a fake and fraud, man, it cuts me deep. And I feel, you know, I said, I almost feel childish for feeling that way. And I, you know, that's why I've tried to keep myself grounded in the fact that I want people to feel that I'm accessible and that I'm here and will do my very best. I've, on occasion, when I've, you know, been on social media and I see somebody's having a bad day, I try to reach out when I can. You know, I've shared prayer requests and healing requests and everything for years, because I feel like I'm in such a rarefied air space that I want to make sure that I take everybody along with me that I can and let them know that they are important, because you never know how just saying hi or wishing somebody a happy birthday could impact and affect them.
I fully agree with you on that. And, you know, I've had it happen where, you know, the rare times I usually go out into the public about 3 times a year. I'm like, you know, I don't like seeing my own shadow at certain times of the year, you know, because since I moved north, way up into the outside of civilization, I've become a little bit of a hermit and introverted. Hard to believe for a guy, but it's true. But when you get people coming up to you and they're just like, man, I fall asleep to you every night, or, you know, thank you for being there and thank you for the topics. I mean, it really is humbling that we do make a difference. We do make a difference in people's lives, and we may not hear 99% of the stories of how we're keeping somebody comfortable at night when we're doing our shows, but at least they're out there, you know, and I'm thankful for that. And I know you are too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's like I said, I always thank people for taking me along on their journey, because it means something to me, you know, and how many messages I get, you know, I laugh. I've kept a folder full of really sweet emails and loving emails that I've gotten that I hope someday when I'm not here, my children who just think I'm some screwball hanging out on the internet telling ghost stories, I hope that they find that folder and they read those stories and they read the impact that their dad had on other people's lives. And I hope they realize that I'm not just a bonehead who likes the sound of his own voice, but that what I did mattered, even in the slightest way. If only 1 or 2 people feel like something changed in their life because I listened, or I was there, or I shared a story that made them not feel so alone, man, what better life could you ask for?
Oh, true. I have kept almost everything. I just cleaned out my office about 6 months ago, and I didn't realize how much fan love that I've got. I've kept everything from the start to where we are now. But let's talk about a little bit of paranormal stuff here. You are on TV. You've done paranormal investigations quite a bit all around the world. There are places that I'm sure you love. Do you prefer doing a paranormal investigation on camera, or do you like it better when you and a couple buddies, or maybe you and your beautiful wife, Winnie, can head on out to a location and do an investigation?
I like all aspects of it. I love doing it when I'm in a larger setting with people and sharing and watching them have that first experience, or maybe a brand new experience that they've never had before. I like being in intimate settings doing investigations. I've gotten used to doing it on TV where the cameras don't really bother me. But again, I do my best to try to be in the mindset and the heart place that when I'm doing the TV show, I want to represent this field in a way that's respectful and empathetic to both the living and the dead. Because, you know, sometimes we just forget that, oh, this poor family's going through this. But what about the spirit? Why are they there? What is the reason that they've chosen to stay behind? And has their story been kind of bastardized over the years? What can I do to set that straight so that maybe I can help bring that spirit some peace as well?
What do you think a ghost is?
I have no one indication to any specific answer. I gave up trying to pigeonhole it because I think there are, at least 10 to 15 different varieties of what ghosts are, from time slip phenomena to alternate realities to, I think some people misinterpret alien encounters as ghosts. Some people misinterpret ghost encounters as aliens. I think there's so much to what's going on out there that we can't just put it in a neat little box with a bow. And I'm okay with that. Right. I love the fact that maybe it's not supposed to be cracked. Maybe we're not supposed to get all the answers, but that we're supposed to see that there's a much richer tapestry, right? The old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees because you are so close that all you see is the one thing in front of you. And when you get that bird's eye view and back up, that's when the entire picture opens up to you and you can see there's so much more connectivity. And I love doing these conferences because I've talked to really great Bigfoot people that hear me talk about ghosts and angels and demons. And they're like, oh, I had that experience, but I could have sworn it was alien. That's an interesting take. Or talking to people that are alien hunters, UFO hunters and watchers. And I realize we're all a lot closer than we know. And I think that's really important. You've got to, keep your spectrum open. We can't, if we have one answer and we get pigeoned into this position where this is it, what fun is that? I like to learn. I like to evolve. And where I was 20 years ago when I started this to where I am today has only opened me up more to possibilities.
I think there's an invisible thread that I've learned over the years. There's an invisible thread that seems to sew everything together, from the paranormal and supernatural to the cryptid world to the UFO and alien world. And I believe that it is tied together somehow. What that actually is, I have no idea. But, I'm like you. I used to think a ghost is a ghost, and it just hasn't found its way to heaven or hell or wherever they go.
Right.
But there's so much more to it now that I don't know if we'll ever be able to find an answer to what it truly is.
And I don't know that we're meant to, Dave. In all honesty, when you find out that surprise, oh, cool, I got the gift I always wanted. What next? I think that these things are always one step forward, two steps back is good because it keeps you intrigued. It keeps you interested enough to keep an eye out. And if you're willing enough and open your heart enough, I think that you will see that there is a lot of really remarkable things that you're missing. When I mention to people that I think the key element to have is a good imagination, people say, oh, see, you're imagining things. No, the imagination allows me to see and accept things on a broader scale and spectrum than those that close themselves down to say that this cannot, therefore it does not exist. I would rather keep that mindset open that maybe it is fairies. Maybe it is elves and trolls. Maybe it is aliens and sea creatures that we know don't or shouldn't exist. What fun is it just closing it all down? And all the people that shake their fists in righteous indignation telling us how stupid and foolish we are. I just look at them and I think, boy, what a sad life you lead. What a sad life that you're so close-minded that none of this magic matters to you and none of the possibilities excite you.
These are the type of people, Dave, who believe that they need to tell their young children at 3, 4, 5 years old that Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, and who's really losing out on that? My kids have asked me, Dad, is Santa real? I go, every Christmas, do you come down and find presents from Santa? Yeah. Exactly. And are there presents from Dad or to Dad from Santa? Yeah. And I said, the minute you stop believing is the minute that he stops giving. So you can believe whatever you want. And if you want to follow what your friends say, that's fine. But in my heart, Santa lives. And I know that if I'm a good guy and I do the right things, I get rewarded. And it's not always something massive and huge, but there are those gifts that exist. And, I like to watch that magic and wonder of the holidays.
Me too, my friend. Me too. I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Hard to believe we're already 30 minutes into Spaced Out Radio tonight. radio host from the Podcast 360 on YouTube. Make sure you go check it out. Hit subscribe. Dave Schrader is here. We're going to get a little bit more into his hauntings and the Palmer House when we return. All right, we are clear. I know there's a lot of people watching right now on Dave's social media. If you haven't tuned into us before, we are a hybrid of a YouTube show, live podcast, and a live radio show. So we have to time everything out with our radio stations and their timing. So at the bottom and top of the hour, we are going to be taking breaks. And like this one will be for, well, it's about another 4.5 minutes or so, 5 minutes. So if you're wondering what the hell we're doing and what we're talking about, why we're not really doing an interview right now, that's because we're on break. It's a radio thing.
But I'll be happy to answer a few questions for the audience if there's any that pop up that you want to throw up, Dave. I'll do that in the interim.
All right. I have one from me. When do I get a Dave Schrader autograph?
You got to come out and see me at the Palmer House Hotel Restaurant.
I would love to, man.
I'll make it.
I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
You know, my problem is I have this thing called a daytime job that just
Not familiar.
eats up absolutely every waking moment.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I know that now more than ever. I just at 58 bought a hotel, restaurant, and pub, and I'm working harder now than I've ever worked in my life. 16-hour days.
I get it, brother. I'm just looking for some questions. All right, let's see here.
And thank you to all of the followers on my page that are watching tonight. I'm glad that you're checking it out and exposing yourselves to Spaced Out Radio. If you have not watched or heard of Spaced Out Radio before, you should. Dave Scott is an awesome host and has amazing tales of his own. He's been a guest on our show a few times, and I'm going to have him hopefully on the Paranormal 360 real soon. So keep checking out Spaced Out Radio, and we complement each other well because usually about the time my show goes off the air on Mondays and Wednesdays, his show is just beginning. So you can continue to watch and learn along with the Daves.
You got that right. Yeah, a little Dave will do you. But if you can double the Dave, it's double the fun.
That's right. These are the Daves of your life, my friends.
Exactly. Deb is asking, has Lucy crawled into bed with Winnie and Dave yet?
No. We're we actually rented a house about a block away. So when we sleep here, it's in the little apartment above, and then we spend the other part of the time at the house. But no, we don't sleep in Lucy's room. I want to give Lucy the respect, and I don't want to cramp any of our ghosts. I think they like their days off when there's not somebody in their room. So we try to show respect like that. But I'll tell you when we come back. I'll tell you one of the first things I did when I moved in here and which ghosts I went and spoke to first.
Yes. All right. Joe wants to know, why did you go to a pay channel?
You mean, I don't know specifically. Are you talking about the Paranormal Mysteries TV show?
I don't
Because
know.
I got news for you, my friend. When we were on Travel Channel, that was a pay channel. It was part of your cable package, and you had to pay to have Travel Channel as part of it. The reason we went there is because networks on the whole changed dramatically. Discovery Network bought HBO Warner Brothers and ended up buying like $20 billion or some insane amount of money. I think it was $20 billion in debt. And the first thing they started carving out was the reality TV shows, and it changed the landscape. So in order to put together a network that will have paranormal programming, it takes money to make money. So for us to go out there and do this, we have to have a platform for it to air on, and it's $5 a month. There's a lot of people barking and yelling at $5. Why should I pay another $5? Well, why should we do a TV show for free and be away from our family and friends? We do this because we have an interest and a passion, but it's also our jobs. So $5 a month, that's pretty cheap. And because there's no new programming on Travel Channel and the shows that you were watching before, Now you can go for $5 and watch us on Stream Beacon TV. And we did 6 episodes of Paranormal Mysteries. They just released a special, An Evening with the Spirits, with Cindy, Shane, and I. It was no slight to you, and if we could have stayed on Travel Channel, we would have loved to have stayed on Travel Channel, but they cut 90% of their programming. And if you still want us out there, which everybody keeps saying, bring back your show, the 3 of you need to work together. And then we go put it together, and then everybody complains that you got to pay $5 to watch. You can't make everybody happy. Trust me, if we could do it for free, we would, but $5 a month is pretty cheap. I'm sure you probably tinkle that away every week on other things that you didn't need. At least
every day on a coffee.
Right.
We're coming back in 10 seconds. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone, Mama Catherine, Deborah Rooney, Mark, Mel WD40, and Benno for the super chats. Here we go with the second half hour. We're talking paranormal tonight with radio host Dave Schrader on Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Yes, I'm a guy who will never get rid of his tinfoil fashion because I just like looking shiny and new each and every day. A reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. Check out our store there. We do not have ugly swag. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. From the Paranormal 360, we have the man, the myth, and the paranormal legend, because he is a legend now after 20 years in paranormal radio. Dave Schrader, thank you so much for being here.
Always a pleasure to visit with you and your amazing audience. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. Your thoughts, man, on what makes a good haunting?
That's tough, right? I mean, that's really tough. I love when the spirits are playful and interactive. I also like the occasional place where you go and you're kind of scared because you don't know what's going to happen next. So it's really hard to say. I mean, I'm sitting here in the Palmer House Hotel, restaurant and pub in Sauk Center, Minnesota, and I love this place so much so I bought it. And what I love about the hauntings here is that they're kind of predictable, and then they shock you from time to time, and not in negative ways. But you question yourself, right, Dave? When you have an experience, you're like, did that just happen? And once you all by yourself, you start to question yourself. But I love when I'm in groups of 5 to 10 people and we're investigating one of the rooms or in the basement, and we all see the phenomena together. It's really exciting. So I like when the spirits have that ability to make themselves known in a grander scale. And I can't think of the last time the Palmer House ever let me down.
Well, you know what? I feel the same way about Flight 21.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's my own little piece of magic in the middle of the forest. And when you find those places, believe it or not, those places are tough to find, where you have your passion, your love, your everything that is good about what we do as investigators and as human beings, that we just want to get creeped out a little bit. What's the creepiest thing that outside of the Palmer House, creepiest thing that happened to you in the last year?
Creepy wise, nothing really. Getting knocked on my butt on the Holzer files was pretty creepy. All right, I will do this. I will say this. I did in the new series Paranormal Mysteries, for our season finale, we went to this Shinto temple, in Tennessee, Bristol, Tennessee, I believe it was, and the Ura Shrine. And there were a couple of really amazing witches there. Maeve was one of them, and they were very kind in walking me through an idea of, I said, I don't know, I'm not really affected or impacted by hauntings anymore. And is there a way, to kind of ground me again? So they actually called on my darkest fears. And I did a ceremony where I gave a drop of blood into the ceremonial water, and It wasn't a big bloodletting ceremony, nothing major, but a little pinprick on my finger. But it was to make this covenant that I wanted to face these moments. And it was interesting. I had some weird stuff happen. In Appalachia, up in that area, if you hear something call your name, you're not supposed to respond. And twice while I was out there, I heard one that sounded like a woman calling my name, and then one as a child. Two things that, of course, would affect and impact me. That was kind of weird. And as I was filming the scene, we were out there. I was out in the forest there for quite a while, and I'm not an outdoors guy. And all the cameras kept powering off independently of one another, and they were all fully charged. So most of the scene didn't even get filmed because I was out there with just one camera guy and then a bunch of X cameras hanging in trees, sitting on posts, filming me from many different angles. So if anything happened, we'd catch it. And at the end of it, I kind of came to this realization. It was this weird eye-opening moment that I said, I guess we're kind of tainted by Hollywood. Like there's going to be some black mist that rises up out of the woods that tries to pull me in. And I don't think that's what it is. I said, I think I've come to the realization I've faced my fears because I've gone out and to do these type of things that would normally unnerve me. And I almost lost a daughter in my arms. She was in really bad shape due to diabetes, and I got her to the hospital in time, but almost lost her. I lost my mom, who was one of my dearest friends and supporters 9 years ago. I've faced and beaten death a few times on my own. So I kind of felt like, and I said this out loud, I said, I kind of feel like I've faced the worst of my fears and I'm still here. So thank you for that reminder. And a week later, my father passed away. And it reminded me that we're never truly prepared for the things that we fear. And we don't know what's really coming. And we fear things in different ways. And my fear was always of losing my parents. And, it's weird to be 58 years old and still kind of feel like that child. I want my mom and dad. I want to be able to call them. I want to be able to communicate with them. And I felt so weird about it that I actually called the witches that were part of that episode. And I said, hey, did I do something stupid here by calling forth fears, calling forth something to face? Did I just, did I doom my father? No. That was not what you did. That was not the type of work that we were doing with you. It was shadow work. It was to make you face your fears in that moment, to confront. And you had this awakening. You had this really profound moment out there. Because that scared me, because I felt like, boy, did I do this? Did I call on this? And is this what happened? It was just bad timing. And then I was reminded of the fact that, and I'm sorry for all the pauses, I'm trying not to get all choked up as well, but my father lived a great life and went the way he wanted to, which was in his sleep. He spent the day, July 3rd, out with all of his grade school friends that still live, and there was only about 6 of them. They all went out and had 3.5, 4 hour lunch together and laughed and drank and ate pizza at Lou Malnati's and Chicagoland area. And they had a great time, and they all hugged and said, we'll see you next time, next year. Yeah, let's do this again. My dad went home, did his second favorite thing, which was working on his property and on his yard. And then he just went to bed and never woke up. And the police and the coroner all told me the same thing. Mr. Schrader, I know there is no good news in these moments, but if it's any consolation, your father did not suffer. He looks like he's sound asleep. That's it. He just was out like a candle in the wind. So that brought me some peace and happiness. But again, it was a moment of facing fear, but I don't feel that anything like that connects to the work I do. I don't like to point fingers and put the blame on the paranormal for things that go wrong in my life. A lot of it's bad choices, and a lot of it is just life happens, and people die and things change and friendships grow away. And, that's part of what life is about. It doesn't have to be hooked to something that you're doing. Well, because you're in the paranormal, that's why you've lost all of this. That's why, but hey man, there's so many good things that came from these moments. I've been able to breathe better. I've been able to see things more clearly because I'm no longer bogged down by the people that were kind of pulling me down in my life. And with my dad's loss, it's been this eerie calm of, I really miss him. I miss him a lot. And it was totally unexpected. But there's just this piece that things happen in a way that I think they're supposed to, as corny as that sounds.
No, I totally believe exactly what you're saying. I mean, you have to be able to really dodge some negative bullets in this field. We could say that term. And you have really been a force of positivity with all of this. How do you look at the paranormal today as it's kind of changed? Okay, the popularity of social media, the popularity of YouTube, so many young people now going to all these locations. We're back to everything is a demon again. And, you know, I've talked to a couple of paranormal people, Dave, recently, not on the show, but off air. And they were telling me that it's hard to find locations now, especially in the United States, because so many of these YouTube people or these TikTok people are going into these locations claiming demons, and these museums, these hotels, these bars and restaurants are starting to get see their clientele disappear because they don't want to be affected by these demons.
That's a big scope question. So let's break it down a little bit. First of all, they watch shows, and a lot of the programming pushes that you need to face these demons. You've got to be out there. The darker, the scarier, the better. But I think it also proves that with a good story, you don't need all that flash and dazzle. When I was with Holzer Files and Ghosts of Devil's Perch and now Paranormal Mysteries, I'm really excited because we're allowed to be storytellers and realize that sometimes the most terrifying things are the things that are reality. And we don't have to face a demon. We just face the fact that this person's story was so horrific or strange or unusual, and the fact that they've maybe been forgotten is so heartbreaking, that's the story. It doesn't have to be a demon. It doesn't have to be anything dark, and you can still feel that kind of same sense. I don't blame them. It's listen, a lot of people beat up on the Ghost Adventures TV show. I've been on 12 episodes, and there are 2 live Halloween specials. Do they do things the way I would do them? No, but that's okay. If they weren't keeping their foot in the door and leaving that doorway open, I think paranormal TV programming would have vanished when they did. So I think that the younger people that are watching probably grew up watching shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, Dead Famous, all the shows that are out there, and they liked the attention. And here's the thing, the viewers like it. They like to be scared. They like to have that moment. And for all the naysaying I hear, all the hatred that goes to Ghost Adventures and shows like them make me laugh, because you realize you're watching them still. Or how would you know that what they did looked fake or seemed fake? Or maybe you're just telling yourself that because it would be real uncomfortable to realize that maybe what's taking place is real. And you're telling yourself what you need to hear so that you can go to sleep tonight. But I honestly give a lot of credit to Jason and Grant from Ghost Hunters, and Steve and Tango and all the great cast members, and to Zach, Nick, Aaron, Billy, Jay Wasley, everybody that's been a part of the Ghost Adventures crew, because they've adapted with time to create different templates for you to look at in different ways. And even in a loss, you can learn something, right? And you may not like the way they do it, but maybe that's teaching you a better way to do it, right? I think it's fascinating to hear somebody's story. I don't have to believe it, but what I think is fascinating is why they believe it's real.
It is, though, Dave, the problem that we have, and I'm not trying to make this a negative comment, because I think a lot of people who have adventured into our field, whether it's paranormal, cryptid, UFOs, I mean, obviously there's a youth turnover every year. on this, where more people are getting involved, and I think it's great. Okay, but these younger generations also know, and I even look at my 12-year-old son, as I'm sure you do with your young kids. I could never work technology like he can.
Right.
You know, he taught me how to edit on CapCut.
Right.
But I look at all these young people, and they already know about algorithms. They already know about clicks, the power of followers and social media campaigns and everything. Whereas us older dudes, that may be a little bit white in the beard, not saying you or me, but other people, okay, we may not be as aggressive or advanced on that, and could be losing potential listenership because we've kind of fallen behind on the social media side. We're thinking television, we're thinking radio, they're thinking streaming and video and everything that I just scares the hell out of me.
But on the other side of it, I was one of the first podcasts out there with Darkness Radio. It was Ghostly Talk. It was Night Watch. It was Darkness Radio and Jim Harold's Paranormal Podcast. Those shows all started within 6 months of one another. Like a universal hiccup happened at once, and we all were birthed from it. And, three of the four shows still exist in some form for a reason, because there are still people that are interested in the way we tell stories. And that's why I've had people say, well, aren't you bummed Dave Scott just had the same guest you had on? No, because Dave probably asked him different questions, or maybe got a different answer out of them. Or maybe the guest was on my show and I asked him the same question, which is now pushing them to try to answer Dave Scott in a different way. And maybe they're evolving in the way they tell their story, not changing it, but finding more interesting elements that they forgot. I didn't mention this on Dave Schrader's show, but Dave Scott, let me tell you this. So, I think the kids that are doing, and the young people that are doing TikTok and YouTube, go for it. There is a huge portion of people that don't want to watch that. And listen, you and I know better than anybody. They're 2.8 million viewers. God love them. Hopefully they're still here 20 years later. Right? I started 20 years ago, and I'm still ticking. And I'm, I get invited on TV shows and the live conferences around the world. So I must be doing something right.
I love it. I love it. We got 7 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Dave Schrader from the Paranormal 360 is here tonight on our show. You have just put yourself in one of the greatest adventures of your life. You were a fan of going to this place to check out the hauntings and the paranormal legends. And now you have the deed that says owner of the Palmer House. How did this happen for you, man?
I began visiting the Palmer House 19 years ago, and the ghosts here made an immediate impact on me and refused to stay silent. They wanted me to know how haunted this place was. And with large groups of people and just small groups of people, we had crazy encounters. And I loved it so much that when I was working behind the scenes with Ghost Adventures from time to time, Zach would reach out and be like, Dave, this is what I'm looking for. What have you got? And I said, well, if you're looking for the Midwest, like Minnesota, come here, check out the Palmer House. And he said, well, why? And I told him all the activity and things that had happened here. And I said, it's one of my favorite stories. He showed up. I got a call about a half an hour after they started looking around the building, and he goes, this isn't going to work, man. It's too small. It's not like the Stanley, this big sprawling thing. I said, no. And that's what makes it so special, because it's not big. It's still 21 rooms with a full deep, dark basement and a lot of activity. And he's like, I don't know, man. I just don't know. And I said, give it some time, Zach. He called me back about 45 minutes or an hour later, and he's like, it's insane. We're just doing interviews and things are moving and we're hearing voices. He goes, dude, this place is crazy. I said, I told you. And then he invited me to come up and be a part of that episode. And we caught some great EVP and had some really weird experiences here. So it's just a real place in real middle America. And I wanted to buy it because I want people to come to Sauk Center, Minnesota. I love Minnesota. I love this little Mayberry style town. And I love the fact that they have embraced this history of the Palmer House, and they realize its worth, and it brings people to the town and community, and people walk away happy and having had weird experiences. And who doesn't want that little spark of life in their lives, right?
I absolutely agree with you. How did it go when you made the financial decision to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And you walk in there? Did you walk in there prior to buying it to talk to the spirits to say, hey, do you mind if I buy this place? Or did you do all the paperwork and then walked in and said, okay, boys and girls, Captain Dave is in the house now. I own it and we're going to have some fun. How did it go?
I didn't talk to the Palmer House, but I believe the Palmer House moved things in a way that they needed to be moved to make this happen and for me to become the owner. I know that sounds strange. And one of the first things I did, there are two very well-known spirits here, Raymond and Lucy, and their rooms are opposing on the same hall. One is room 17, one is room 22. And when you open their doors, they face each other. And the first thing I did when I signed the paperwork is I walked up to that, and the two doors were open, and I stood in the hallway and I said, Raymond, Lucy, it's me, Dave Schrader. I have some big news. I'm the new caretaker. I don't like to use the word owner. I do, sometimes jokingly when I'm doing my ads, but I'm the caretaker. This place owns itself. The spirits are the real owners. I'm just here to make sure that it stays alive until the next person takes it. And Kelly Freeze, the person I bought it from, is the longest running owner of this building. She owned it for 24 years out of its 125 years of existence. And now I get to be the next guy. And my goal is I want to own it at least 25 years and then find the right person to pass it on to. But yeah, I certainly went in and told, and when we were hosting a ghost hunt this last weekend, I went down and I introduced and I told the ghosts down there, hey guys, it's me, Dave. I'm the new caretaker. I'm the owner here now. And, I will always show you respect, and I will not let people come in here and disrespect you. But thank you. Thank you for making my dream come true. Thank you for allowing me to be here and watch over this site. And I hope that you'll continue to enthrall and entertain people when they come to visit. And it's been crazy since I took over. The spirits are definitely making themselves known.
That's incredible. I mean, how do you do that? Like, how do you all of a sudden say, hey guys, I'm your new caretaker. I hope you come out and say hi every now and again. You're promoting them to kind of talk and be open and wander the house, pardon me, and be a part of it all. How do you handle that? A lot of people would say that's just crazy, Dave.
Right, but that's the life I chose, and that's the way I choose to interact with my spirits that are here coexisting with me. And I believe if you can't do it in a sense of respect, that's when you start getting negative things to happen. And instead, I get some really great responses from the spirits. And I know sometimes I get perturbed by the amount of people that'll come through, Dave. But on the other hand, I go back in. I've got a great EVP in Raymond's room. He's not a big fan of women, doesn't really like when they're in there. These women had this elaborate thing set up on the bed, and they're like, Raymond, if you want us to go light up these lights or turn on that flashlight or do this or do that. And then I just said, or just tell them get out. And we got this EVP of this raw. And they were like, all right, good enough for us. And they started packing. And I said, hey, Raymond, thank you for sharing the space and time with us. And I know this can get wearing on you, but thank you. And there's this pause, and you just hear this voice go, you're welcome.
No, that's weird. That is
beautiful. It's a simpatico relationship.
It really shows that the spirits are connecting to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in the end, to be successful and to make sure that the Palmer House is successful, you need that to happen. You need that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, Dave, things have worked out in ways I could never have expected, even to the fact I just bought it in the slowest time of year for hotels. And a few days after I get it, I get a call from this construction company. Hey, we need a bunch of rooms for the next 2 to 3 months. And I filled my hotel.
How many rooms is it?
21 rooms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
and it's got a restaurant and bar in it.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Great food, great drinks, great employees, and a lot of spirits.
Are you going to change any of the beverage names to like ghostly type names?
We might make a special menu from time to time, but I don't need to spook it up to make it what it is. I am fine with it just being, I wouldn't mind naming up some of the drinks after my favorite people in the paranormal field and have some fun with that. But I don't think I need I don't need to spook it up any more than it already is. It'll do its own job.
Dave Schrader from the Paranormal 360 and the owner of the Palmer House, caretaker, that is. Hour 2, we're going to get into more paranormal with Dave. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Davey. We got about 5.5 minutes. I'm just going to put you in the green room, and I'll be back here in a couple minutes, okay?
Okay, my friend.
All right. Be right back, everybody. Don't worry. We're not going away. We're just taking a quick break.
Be right back.
Be right back, everybody. I am back. Thank you for waiting so preciously. Anticipation of this guy. There he is. We call him Little Davey Schrader around here. And for the record, Eddie, I've seen a couple people asking. Yes, Dave is inside the Palmer house right now. That isn't a screenshot behind. That is the beautiful fireplace.
Yeah, it's real. It's all here. That's this is my little comfort place. That chair you see right, how do I point to it? Right there. That's my favorite place to sit, just by the fire and watch everything unfold in the bar area.
Are you going to be changing some of those books into some paranormal books there? Or?
Perhaps.
Very nice.
Excellent.
All right. We got about 45 seconds before we're going to come back.
Para-Mary had a pretty cool question if you want to get to that
there,
too.
Yeah. We're going to get to a couple questions here.
Sure.
We also have some videos to play.
Yeah.
Which we will get to. We're going to go into a little bit more of the Palmer house when we return.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get into maybe a question or two, and then we'll get into the videos. Thank you tonight to our great super chatters, Mark, Deborah Rooney, Mama Catherine, Benno, T-Bone, my man, and Mel WD40 with the special lube chat. Greatly appreciate it. Take a chance to go to our website, spacedoutradio.com/shop. Check out our great clothing. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Check it on out. Here we go. We are into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking paranormal at the Palmer House in Minnesota with legendary radio host Dave Schrader from the Paranormal 360. We love this guy around here. I just wish we could do this a little bit more often, but schedules just always collide. It happens. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Decantate. Decantate is your password, or maybe it's decantate. I don't know. But use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We continue talking about the haunted Palmer house from its new caretaker, Dave Schrader, from the Paranormal 360. Make sure you go to his YouTube channel and hit subscribe and ring that bell. Dave, thank you so much for being here. You have a spirit who is very popular there. Her name is Lucy. Tell us about Lucy.
Here's what makes this place so interesting, right? It's had so many lives, and at one point it was believed to be part of, a brothel, maybe speakeasies during the quiet times, because there are tunnels that used to run around underneath Sauk Center here. Lucy, nobody really knew much about, but when Kelly Freeze, the owner, would be here, she'd be doing something behind the bar or working at the front desk, and somebody would come in and give her a note. And she'd read the note, and it would talk about this woman up in the upstairs window looking out, this spirit. And, we think her name is Lucy. We think she was a former working girl who passed away here. And she started hearing it repeatedly from different psychics, mediums, and people that were not connected that would just leave her all these notes. And that's kind of how Lucy got her name, and really, I guess, how that whole history became what it is. Some of the spirits have identified themselves by name, but Lucy's really one of the more popular, and it's believed that she ended in a very untimely way by the hands of a man. And she's not real fond of men in her room. When asked on EVP, she says she doesn't like the farts or their stinky feet in her room. But she also just not real keen on men. In my first experience, Dave, as Kelly was walking me around this building 19 years ago, and she took me into Lucy's room. I was going to spend the night in that room for the next 2 nights. And I was standing there with the door was wide open next to me. and Kelly's standing in front of me next to the bed, and she goes, "This is Lucy's room. This is her story. She doesn't really like men." And I was kind of a cynical jerk at that point. And I said, "Well, tough toodles. You got to spend the weekend with me." And the door slammed next to me.
Ooh.
And I jumped and looked at Kelly, and she goes, "Have fun with that tonight." And that night I spent in there, I had a video cam off to my side. And at one point I kept hearing the neighbors walking and walking and walking around. And I'm like, when are they going to go to bed? Because it just was this constant footsteps. And then I realized, oh, wait, I'm on the top floor. And I kind of sat up in my bed and realized the walking was in the room with me. And I was like, what? And I went to grab my camera. And while I'm laying in the bed, I'm grabbing the camera with my left hand. Off to my right hand side is Lucy's chair, which is about 2 feet away from the bed. And very clearly, I caught on video, you hear this exasperated kind of breathy sound.
Right.
And my head pivoted and I looked and I'm like, what was that? So right away, Lucy has captured the attention and imagination of people here. They love her. I've seen some remarkable footage. I've heard some remarkable things. You know, she's never done anything to me besides slam the door. I can sense sometimes when she's there, and I'm not real sensitive when it comes to that. But I've asked too. I said, "Do you leave the room when I'm here at night?" "Yes, I do." Okay. So she none of the ghosts are landlocked. They can move throughout the building. People have experienced Lucy in the basement, experienced Lucy on the main floor. So all of the spirits can roam to wherever they want to be.
How many spirits in total do you think are there? Never mind the wandering ones that come in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But how many spirits do you think are calling the Palmer house home?
I think we're probably at around a dozen ghosts that are here on a normal basis. And then we have transient ghosts. And I think that's because when you turn the light on and there's all of these people coming here for this experience, well, go to where people are, right? If you're a spirit and you want to communicate, go to where they are. So I think that's part of what we deal with the Palmer house as well.
I remember when I was doing our ghost tours at our museum here, we have a lot of transient spirits too, because we are right along the old Gold Rush Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And one time we were doing a tour, it was right after the forest fires of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the barn and we have this spirit come up and talk to us. And we figured out that he was a young guy, probably mid to late 20s. He was heading back to the US. He was American. And we talked to him for about 15 minutes. Just yes, no type questions. And all of a sudden, one of the people with us says, "Hey, can you tell us where your gold is?" Went absolutely silent. He took off quicker than anything. We could not get him back because he was so paranoid that he was going to have to give up his gold, because there were a lot of robbers and
Sure.
and horrible people back then. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, like, during that time of the gold rush, up like literally 2 miles from where SOR headquarters is, we had people like Billy Miner and the James brothers and all of these incredible wild west legends of train robbers and murderers, and they all came up here. Because Canada didn't even have a police force at that time. So they all came up here stealing gold and harming people. It's pretty incredible. So the transients are a lot of fun as well. Now, when you have people staying there or just coming for dinner, do they have a lot of paranormal experiences when they're here just enjoying a night out?
Yeah. We've had people. I sent you a video, and maybe this would be a good time to set this up. So we were in this bar area, and I'm watching your followers. I think it's funny that they still think this is a fake backdrop, and that's not a real fire. It's a gas fireplace, but it's a very real fire. This is, come and see me. Come visit the Palmer house. You'll see it for yourself. I am literally sitting in the bar. So you can see there's my window for the pub. It'll take you around and show you the other parts of the room. but I purposely set it up so that you've got the nice fire behind me to get that warm, comforting vibe. But yeah, so there was a young man who was here celebrating his 21st birthday, special needs young man with his father, and we brought out a little birthday cake slice for him, and everybody was singing happy birthday to him. His father's across from him videotaping it. He's there and nobody else is close enough in the vicinity. And if you want to show that video,
I would love to. Let's explain it to our radio audience once it's playing.
Happy birthday to you.
21 today.
21. So what happens is, as we're in the middle of singing the end of the song, the candle blows out violently. Not just kind of like it blows out, not like it just kind of snuffed out because it was fading. You see this gush kind of hit the flame and it knocks it out. And that happened with a whole room full of people here. And you could see the young guy kind of looks down at the candle, and you could see he's trying to process what just happened. But that was really a neat little moment. So yeah, we have that experience. Since I've owned it, I've had a bunch of people come in here and go, when I came in here, my daughter was out walking around in the lobby, and I came out and she was talking to somebody on the stairs. And I said, "Who are you talking to?" She goes, "The little boy and the man." And she goes, "What little boy and the man?" She, "Right there on the stairs." And we have a ghost of a little boy that's been seen around the stairwell with a ball. Raymond is probably the man, but could be any number of different spirits. There are a few people that lost their lives here back in the day. So it's really fun and bizarre, but people have experiences all the time. And in the bar area, sometimes bartenders and staff and visitors have seen a glass glide across the bar to somebody else and stop. And it's not like, when you put a cup in the freezer and you take it out and there's that little bubble of ice on the bottom, and when you set it down, as it melts, it starts to slide. That's not what was happening. So things have vanished, things have moved. The other, Mark Lanou, who's in your chat room as well, as a buddy of ours, he came up here for New Year's and spent a few days here at the Palmer. And we were out in the lobby on the last day. He was going to go home. And I called Winnie upstairs. I'm like, "Hey, can you come down here? I have to go over some paperwork with you." She goes, "Yeah, I'll be right down." And Mark and I are facing each other talking. And very clearly you can hear somebody walking down the stairs, and they round the landing from the second floor to the first floor, and they start walking down the stairs. And we both stop talking and turn to say hi to Winnie, and there's nobody there. But you can hear the footsteps very clearly coming down the stairs. And Mark and I looked at each other, and he goes, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Yeah, did you?" And he goes, "Yes, that's wild." It was so defined.
Love it. Let's play this video once again for our social media audience. And I want you guys, while you're watching the video, to watch the pie. Don't watch anything else. Just watch the piece of pie and the candle on it, because this is pretty incredible. You can actually tell that piece of that candle is being blown out.
Happy birthday to you.
21 today.
That still trips me out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. We're with Dave Schrader here from the Paranormal 360 and the new caretaker, I'll say it, owner of the Palmer House in Sauk City?
Sauk Center, Minnesota.
Sauk Center, Minnesota. Perfect. A lot of people may wonder, what do you charge for a room?
Depends on the room. We've got we've got some economy rooms all the way up to jacuzzi suites. So, a couple of them are like $129 up to a couple $100, depending on the room and what you're looking for the amenities. But I will tell you this, we do have a special for people that are interested. If you want to book a stay here for like a Friday, Saturday, we do have tours that take place during the days and stuff you can sign up for. But if you book for a Friday, Saturday, I'll throw in a free Thursday night stay, because, when you come in Friday, most of the time you can't check in till 3, you get settled into your room, you have dinner, kind of your first day of your vacation shot. So now you can come in Thursday, get some rest, and then start your day Friday and Saturday and have all day Friday and Saturday to explore Sauk Center, to explore the Palmer House, to check out our cool movie theater, to check out the holistic shop down the way with crystals and all kinds of cool stuff. there's a lot of great stuff going on in this town. Go to the History Society, the Historical Society. Go in there and visit. It's like a $5 tip you can leave for them. But you'll get to see and experience Sauk Center, and they'll tell you some of the ghost stories that are happening there after a donation from the Palmer House was given, and ask them to see the first ever ghost picture from the Palmer House. They have it. I don't even have it.
Wow. Are you going to allow paranormal teams to come in and investigate?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, Mondays and Tuesdays, we're not open generally to the public. We are right now because I've got these construction workers staying here, taking up half of my rooms. So we are open 7 days a week. But if you want to arrange to get full access to the bar, pub, restaurant, hotel, you can contact us on our website, or you can just call in 320-351-9100. That's 320-351-9100. And we'll talk to you about renting out the hotel for investigations. So we'll give you a 12-hour block, or basically 24-hour block. You come in on like Monday at 11 in the morning, and you check out on Tuesday at 11 in the morning, and you get the whole night in the place.
We've got a couple more videos that we're going to play for our audience here, but I first want to get to a quick question here from Paramarv, who is asking, it's understood that ghosts don't like changes to their environment. With this in mind, are you planning on redecorating the Palmer House? And if so, when? So that way we can book rooms and watch what happens.
Yeah, we're already making changes here, but I'm doing it again out of respect to try to bring back comfort and peace and happiness to the building. Today we swapped out, all the beds were removed today. All of the mattresses and all brand new mattresses were put in so that when you come here, I really want this to feel like a second home. We're going to be cleaning up and replacing carpeting throughout the building. This place has been loved a long time. And, there are things that need to be changed just to give it that grandeur and allure. And where I see your point, as in sometimes changing things radically can upset the apple cart, we're not doing it in that sense, but we are just giving it a little bit of a spit shine, trying to bring some luster back to the building, if that makes sense.
No, I think it's absolutely perfect. And of course, I'm sure you're this guy. When you make changes, are you saying to the spirits and telling them what's going to go on, so that way they're not as upset about it, that it might not piss them off, to be blunt?
Yeah. And I bring in, Raymond is very particular about his room. And today when I was putting in the new bed, I explained to him why I was removing the old mattress and just bringing in a new mattress. And we're going to tidy up in here. And Raymond, I get that you're a very particular type of person. So I'm sure you don't want carpet with a stain on it. And I'm sure you want a bed that is more comfortable, and you want these things. So these are the changes I'm going to make with full respect of your space and time. But I want you to know that you can have some pride in this room, because this is what we're doing here. I'm not gutting it and hanging up gory Friday the 13th pictures or things. I actually do want to put in some of the rooms, because I love Minnesota, man. I want to shine. I would love to have some of the rooms themed so that you can go see the Minnesota Frozen Wildman room. You can go see the Minnesota Warren UFO room. And you get to spend the night in there with some of the articles and stories and things that took place. And there are so many great places around Minnesota that when you come here, I'd like you to learn a little bit about us.
Let's go to another question here. This one from these just aren't about the Palmer House, but there are a couple other questions here. This one's from one of your listeners, Gene Stout, who's listening in on Facebook. So thank you, Gene. Appreciate you. Dave, what's your favorite place to investigate and why? Honestly, the first one that comes to your mind.
The Palmer House. That's why I bought it. But I've had great experiences at Queen Mary, Stanley Hotel, and Eastern State Penitentiary, and Mansfield Reformatory. I used to visit them 2 to 3 times a year each, doing events, and I loved them. Rolling Hills Asylum up in East Bethany, New York. It's really hard for me to pick one, because each one has its own presence and sense. And when you're there, it's really cool. I mean, and you're in that moment in history.
couple questions about the Palmer House coming in.
Okay.
T-Bone is asking, Dave, is the Palmer House still malevolent?
No. And as far as I know, it's never really been malevolent. There have been a few things that have frightened people. Some people come in and taunt. Some people do some stuff and the ghosts will react. That doesn't mean I want you to come here and taunt. If I do find you being disrespectful to our spirits, you will be asked to leave. And that's just the way it is. I always tell people, how would you feel if this was your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your grandma, your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew? Would you want people in here demanding things of them and being cruel and rude? Well, this is my family now, and I will protect them and show them love and empathy and respect. And I expect that the people come here to do the same thing. So there have been some moments that have frightened people. But again, what is fear? Everybody has a different tolerance level, just like hot peppers, right? I have a wimpy tongue. Just looking at a bottle of Tabasco, my mouth hurts. Other people can eat 14 hot wings basked in ghost pepper juice and they're fine. It just depends. And I've seen the same thing with hauntings. Show us a sign of your presence. Do something for us. And all of a sudden I'll see this woman's hair start to lift gently into the air and she'll scream like she's been set on fire and run out. And then I've been there when a woman has been knocked on her butt from an unseen force and she's freaking out about it. And then but not in a bad way. She's like, oh my God, that was so exciting. I can't believe that just happened to me. So it's people's perspectives to what's going on. And if you're going to ask for a ghost to give you a sign, you can't freak out when they give you a sign.
That is true. Let's go to our good friend Jaren's here. The Palmer House has such a paranormal history. Could you tell us about the variety of menus and fine dining?
Thank you for asking. We are the only restaurant I know in town that serves steak. So we've got, like right now, we've got a really nice ribeye on our menu. We've got an 8-ounce sirloin steak. You get a choice of potato. You get a nice salad or soup. And all the soups here are homemade soups, and they are delicious. As a matter of fact, some of the workers that come in here, they'll order a bowl of soup, eat their whole dinner, and then come down a half an hour later, and they're like, can I get another bowl of that soup? So it is really good. We take a lot of pride in the food that's served here. We're going to be altering a few things on the menu. One of my favorites, I call it the warm your soul burger because we are in frigid cold Minnesota. It is a nice Southwest burger. So it's got pepper jack cheese, jalapenos, and chipotle mayo. Gives you just that nice little burst of flavor and heat. We've got bread puddings, deep fried bread puddings. We've got homemade pies, cakes, and brownies that are made here. So we've got a lot of really good stuff on the menu, and it's comfort food and it's good food.
You're making me hungry now. Quickly here, a good friend of mine whose brother owns the #1 bar in Vancouver. Rob is asking, did you ever get a chance, because we lost Eric Von Donigan, did you ever get a chance to interview him over the years?
I never did. When we tried to connect on a couple of occasions, my schedule and his were not aligning. And I kept shifting and saying, well, if I have to record on a Sunday morning at 2 a.m, I'll do it, or whatever time works for Mr. Von Daniken. And it just never connected. We had a few email exchanges that were very polite and kind to one another, but we never got anywhere beyond that.
Yeah. A big loss. It sucks when you lose a legend in your field. And that's exactly what we did with the passing of Eric Von Donigan is losing a legend like that. There's not many of those, that original OG, class of paranormal UFO, influencers, if we could use that word, that are still around.
No.
It's sad.
We lost Jesse Marcel. We lost Jesse Marcel Jr. We've lost Stanton Friedman. We've lost Rosemary Ellen Guiley. I mean, the list sadly goes on and on, but we've lost a lot of those people that were there breaking that frontier. Hans Holzer, right? When I started doing radio 20 years ago, Hans Holzer was one of my favorite gets. And, that opened the door for me to eventually become the lead investigator on the Holzer Files TV show. He was the last interview that was granted, and we got it.
Oh, wow. My friend, hard to believe we're an hour and a half in. We have Dave Schrader from the Paranormal 360 and the Haunted Palmer House. Go book your reservations right now at the palmerhouse.com or the palmerhousehotel.com. I suck at websites. I do. We'll be back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. There we go.
And I'm sorry about all the background noises like the ice maker and machines going off. Good.
Haven't even heard it.
We should show those other videos when we come back. There's some good ones.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that there is a couple of good ones here that we got for you people.
And if I can mention, I host the Paranormal 360, which is on WCCO radio.
Oh,
But my main podcast is Paranormal 60, which you can watch on YouTube. And
had to add that other number in there to screw me right up.
I know.
Gee whiskers. Kind of guy are you?
Well, I'm an American. What can you expect?
I hear you there. How cold is it there?
Today, not too bad. Tomorrow, we'll have a high of 17 and a low of 0.
Oh, that's
That's
still
your weather forecast for Sauk Center, Minnesota. And Paranormal Marv, I'm sorry. I'm bleary-eyed and tired and trying to read a little print as you guys are scrolling by, and I guess I called him Paranormal Mary earlier.
Paramarv actually just had he's helping me out here with my Rumble stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, he's one of them smart internet people.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got all the help.
Oh, God. I need a lot more mental help there. Yeah. But yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. What was I going to say to you? Yeah, mine is so 17 degrees. I always got to convert here. Hold on.
17 degrees is cold, my friend. Imagine 0's cold, 17's only 17 notches above cold.
Well, hold on. I'm at the converter right now on Google. Oh, that's -8 Celsius. That's hoodie weather. That's hoodie weather.
It was before I lost 58 pounds. Now I freeze my ass off.
Oh, goodness. And then if we go to 0, that's -17 is when I put a jacket on. So your 0 is my -17. And I my area here, we're in a warm spell right now, and it's going to drive me nuts because I can feel, for people who don't live in a cold climate, you actually like Minnesota, which is I think you're a little bit damper, right? You got more of a damp climate, or do you got that dry cold there?
It just depends on the time of year, but yeah, usually it's pretty wet. That's why my bones and joints ache so bad.
Yeah, that part sucks. I'm more of a dry cold climate, so it's a lot easier to take, but your body gets used to it. You know, it gets used to the temperature, and your body will actually shift where all of a sudden when it hits, if we use Fahrenheit, if it hits like 25, 28 Fahrenheit, you're like, oh my God, this is t-shirt weather.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's always funny here too, right? I mean, we'll talk about it being 45, 50, 60 degrees out and we're freezing. And then spring comes around and it's 45, 50, 55 degrees out and we're out in shorts and t-shirts washing our cars in Minnesota.
Right. Same here. Yeah. Same up here. Every vehicle in my town is the same color sand-colored brown from the roads. Jeremy Jones, how are you? So, yeah, your body acclimates to the cold, believe it or not. And when you thaw out, like we're in a heat wave right now. It's been like above 32 degrees Fahrenheit the last few days. And it's going to suck because I know those cold temperatures are coming.
Yeah.
And it'll drop to my area around minus 40 Fahrenheit. And that sucks when that happens.
Yeah, it does.
It really sucks. Don't forget, everybody, to give us a thumbs up if you don't mind, if you're watching on YouTube. It really helps with the algorithms. And don't forget, after the show, to leave a comment.
See, look at you training your people so well.
We are into the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have our great paranormal guest, Dave Schrader, legendary Dave Schrader, coming up here talking about the Palmer House and a little bit more paranormal stories. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. You can find our swag there. We got good stuff. There's nothing ugly there. You can wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. You can find us on social media, on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here he comes one final time. The man, the myth, the radio legend, Dave Schrader, owner of the Palmer House. If you want to go to their website, I'm actually going to get it right this time. thepalmerhousehotel.com. thepalmerhousehotel.com. Dave, thank you for being here.
Thank you. And just to clarify, there are a few Palmer House and Palmer House hotels throughout the United States. Probably the biggest and most well-known is in Chicago. We are in Sauk Center, Minnesota, about an hour and 45 minutes away from Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. So we're out here, a great little slice of Americana. Come on out, see our town, see the great people here, and have a good time with us. We have some antique shops for thrifting. We've got some holistic shops with beautiful crystals and gems and sage and oils. We've got a lot of great stuff to see out here. Plus, we're right down the road from the Kensington Runestone.
I forgot to ask you kind of a silly question because I got all excited about talking about the Palmer House. What makes it so haunted?
The ghosts, Dave. You know, there's a lot of things. This was originally the footprint of the Sauk Center house, and that burned to the ground. And then they rebuilt one, and it burned to the ground. And in 1899, 1900, they started rebuilding, which became the Palmer House. And you know, it's had kind of a sordid background of, you know, being a place that might have been a speakeasy and a brothel at some point. Most likely, it was also a transient town where workers and fishermen and people came to stay, and people working in the mines and doing that stuff. So it was a rough and tumble little area at one point. And then in Minnesota, Dave, I don't know if you know this, but when it's freezing cold out, it's hard to break ground to bury people. And when the influenza breaks happened and things like that took place in America back in the early 1900s, they stored some of the cadavers down in the basement here, is what part of the legend says, because it is underground, it is cold, and that's just what you had to do. So the belief is that, you know, there's been a lot of that comes. And I think there's also a lot of people that bring their own, you know, BYOG, they bring their own ghosts, and those ghosts end up staying here.
I love it. I love it. Let's get to another video here because I'm very excited about this. Now, our radio audience, you're not going to be able to see it. Unfortunately, you have to go over to our social media channels in order to see this. But this one here.
Is this the hand?
I'm going to be blunt. I thought at the first, when you first showed it to me, I thought it was somebody going to the bathroom that you were filming them from behind. I did.
Uh-huh.
And then you
it is not.
It out.
We're down in the basement of the Palmer House, and we were doing a big investigation, and standing in the doorway is Actually, and I can't remember the town, but he is the mayor and the coroner of a town here in Minnesota. And he was here as an active part of one of our investigations. Shane Sheets, great guy. He's the guy you see standing in the doorway. And there was another investigator, and his name is eluding me, and I apologize. I want to say it was Carl. Winnie, if you're in the chat room, correct me. He was filming it real time and then showed us the video, and it was pretty remarkable. So what you're going to focus on is his leg, Shane Sheets' leg. And we capture something really remarkable on video footage here. For those of you that are just listening, it's this ghostly hand reaches out and kind of rubs up his leg and then vanishes. And the fingers look elongated and weird, Dave, almost alien in nature as well.
Yes, they do. Here we go.
There's on the left, moving to the right. Here it comes.
Or for our radio audience, we're just watching a video. It's in black and white.
And there we go, moving to the other side. Yep.
Live paranormal investigation.
What am I missing?
My
Maybe
face
I'm
is-
looking at someone's head.
Okay, sorry.
Right there, Davey.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. And what's weird is if you look, I've started to notice more. If you look earlier, you can see it almost looks like these three fingertips kind of coming around the door frame from the inside where he's standing by his
Okay.
legs. And then eventually it just kind of rolls up on the legs.
We'll play that again for our
Yeah.
audience.
There's on the left, moving to the right. Here it comes.
So incredible. Eating.
And there we go, moving to the other side. Yep. Oh, wow, I'm so close.
What am I missing?
My face
Maybe I'm
is-
looking at someone's head.
Okay, sorry.
And watching that, and literally you can tell because you can see his pants through the fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty cool little piece of footage. So I've looked at it a bunch of times. I can't really find it. I've thought, well, maybe somebody's hand shadow, but it's actually coming from inside that door frame. So it's not like somebody outside moving their hand would have cast a shadow so perfectly on that leg. Could have happened, but it didn't because the fingers are inside the door frame.
Now, the other video that we're going to play here is audio.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will play properly. Let's
And this
see where
was-
this.
This was fun. We had been investigating that night, and it was an unnaturally quiet night. And I had tried EVP. We tried some of the games and things, trying to get the spirits to come out and play. And, we'll do a 2-night investigation here. And sometimes one night they're real quiet. The next night it's real active. Sometimes it's active both nights. You just never know. And sometimes it's active the first night, not the second. Sometimes it's active the second, or, the second night, not the first. But I thought, well, let's try something. And I broke out the spirit box. And now I want you to listen all the way through it because you'll hear the response to my question. And then you hear everybody reacting. And then you hear him say one more letter in the alphabet. So I think it's a really cool piece of video.
All right, here we go.
Would you like to play a game? Do you know the alphabet? If I say some letters, can you say the letters right after it? A, B, C.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, and that took place in a room full of people. So we all heard it. I go, I'm going to say the alphabet. Can you say the letters right after? And I go A, B, C, and you hear D, E, F. And when everybody's like, ooh, you hear him go G, like he's continuing on with it. That was pretty special.
let's play this again.
Would you like to play a game? Do you know the alphabet? If I say some letters, can you say the letters right after it? A, B, C.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
I don't know if you caught it right after when you say thank you, there's a lady's voice that comes in there and says welcome.
No, I did. Play it again. I didn't hear that.
Maybe it's just my imagination, but I swear I heard on the ghost box there, welcome.
Would you like to play a game? Do you know the alphabet? If I say some letters, can you say the letters right after it? A, B, C.
Oh my God.
Thank you. All right. After it says G, it says welcome.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Good ears, Dave
That is-
Scott. I've listened to that 1,000 times and totally missed it. That's why it's always nice to have people listen to these things as well and see if they're able to pick up different elements of it.
I love it. I love it. It makes me smile when I hear things like that because, that's the fun of what we do right there is that communication. I don't care if you're a skeptic or non-believer or not, but it's pretty awesome when you get things like that.
We were in Iowa at one of the high schools. It was a haunted high school, and I was investigating with Chad Lindbergh and maybe Josh Hurd. And we were there, and there was this young girl, Kendra, who's special needs young lady, and she really loves ghost hunting. She comes with her mom, and we're playing the spirit box, and nothing's really coming through, nothing. And Kendra's like, do you know my name? Can you say my name? Do you know it's my birthday? Can you say it's my birthday? Can you say something? And finally, and nothing's happening. I go, for gosh sakes, can you just wish her a happy birthday? And all of a sudden, very clearly from the spirit box, it goes, happy birthday. And everybody was like, whoa. I mean, it was an immediate response, and everybody caught off guard. And those are the moments you live for. Just when you think, I've seen it all, I've heard it all, I've experienced it all, the other side throws you a curveball.
When we were filming up at Flight 21 last year, we're pretty amateur at the whole filming thing. I'm a radio guy, not a camera guy, but my buddy Tim, who I was investigating with, you can actually see him. And we're in the middle of the forest, 30 miles into the forest, Dave. And and then we have to take a detour to go down to our spot.
Okay.
And you can hear Tim on the video kind of fumbling and mumbling with his GoPro. And the GoPro kind of starts to tip over. And you hear this little boy's voice in the middle of the forest go, uh-oh. And then he turns, mumbles something to his friends or whoever he's talking to. And then he turns back and he laughs at us in a very cute, childlike way. We didn't hear it. We found it on tape. But that's the moments you live for, is those moments of high strangeness like that.
Yeah.
It really is. Let's go to a couple more audience questions here, if you don't mind. All right. Let's go to Paramarv here. Some ghosts are said to respond to strong feelings. Any known stories of ghosts responding to the carnal exploits of guests in rooms?
Nobody has told me that yet. No. I will say I was at the what is the name of the hotel? It's in Cripple Creek, Colorado, and I was there with Bill Chappell, who's created like the SLS camera and some different tools. And it's eluding me. I want to say it's like the St. James Hotel, but I'm not sure I'm remembering it properly. But this was when he was using the prototype for the SLS camera, and he would project it on the ceiling so we could see whatever's being picked up by the camera. And there's the one room known as the nun's room, where this nun, people will wake up and this nun is standing over the bed looking down at them. So I had laid a bunch of different equipment on the bed, just thinking maybe something will pick up on it. And we're watching the SLS camera, and all of a sudden you see this figure pop in, and it kind of climbs on the bed, and it's like it's looking at the different items. And all of a sudden a second stick figure walks over and gets behind that one, and they all begun undulating. And I look at Bill and I go, what are we watching? And he goes, I think it's ghost porn. I think that's what we're watching right now. And the two of us were like, what? And then I sent him into the room, and when he passed the camera, the SLS was distracted, so it lost the images. And I said, go in between those two doors on the other side of the bed and then open one door at a time. Let's just see if they're hiding in there. And he opened the one door and there was nothing there. When he opened the other, there was this stick figure, the spirit standing there. And I go, it's right off to your right, Bill. Put your right hand out. So he puts his right hand out, and this figure turns sideways to him and approaches his hand. And his hand's a little lower than a hand should be to shake hands. And you see a Stick Johnson. I don't know how else to say it. And it appears to put it right in Bill's hand. And I go, oh my God. And Bill goes, what? I feel something. It's in my hand. What is it? And I go, nothing, Bill. He's just shaking your hand. And then he came out and watched the video. He's like, what the hell was that? So those are some fun moments. I also have a really creepy story. I don't know if you know about the Bloody Bones Man. He looks like Freddy Krueger without clothes on, right? So he's kind of this sinewy, bloody, tissuey looking character. And we were telling some of these stories on the air about him, and they're creepy. And I had a couple contact me, and they're like, dude, this is terrifying. Now we know what we experienced. She goes, I was being intimate with my boyfriend on the couch, and things are progressing. And when it came time for him to have fun, and he bent his head down, I could see over his shoulder, and standing at the end of the couch was this Bloody Bones Man watching us. And she said, and I froze and started going, and she's terrified. This poor guy's thinking he's hitting the home run. Little does he know, the noises are not out of pleasure. They're out of pure, utter terror, because standing at the foot of the couch watching them is the Bloody Bones Man. So I've heard stories like that take place.
My goodness. That is creepy. All right, let's move on to another question. Let's go to T-Bone here. Do you ever see a device being invented soon that will change the woo forever?
I'm excited because my friend Mark Lanou, who again in the chat room is he's a NASA Hall of Fame inventor, and he is fascinated with the paranormal and is working on a piece of equipment. I don't know how much I can go into on it, so I'll just say that. And he thinks he may have cracked part of a code on making communication, and I'll be excited to see how that plays out. But yes, I think that we're getting closer, and I think there's a reason for that. I think something is trying to help us awaken more, if that makes sense.
What do you use for equipment when you're in the
now I'm really just down to my Panasonic DR60 recorder. I like to be present during the paranormal investigation, if that makes sense, Dave. I don't want a bunch of gadgets and gadgets in my hand flickering and lighting it. My recorder. I get great EVP. I get really cool responses. So that's what I focus on. And I think because I'm so adept at it now, and I bonded with that piece of equipment, that's why I get such great results with it.
Follow up from T-Bone. Palmer House ever have any UFOs spotted around?
There are UFOs that are seen in this part of Minnesota quite often. We're not too far from Warren, Minnesota, a couple-hour drive. That's one of my all-time favorite stories. As a matter of fact, there was an issue that came out a few months ago of Shadow Zine, and you can look up shadowzine.com, I think. Jeff Belanger put it together, and I was the author of that issue. And the Warren UFO story from the 70s is, in my opinion, one of the greatest UFO stories, because it left behind one of the coolest pieces of evidence. It was Deputy Val Johnson out driving one night, and he had a big expansive area to drive through, and he's going, down this road that's kind of split by cornfields, and he sees a light out in the field, and he stops and he's looking at it thinking, oh my gosh, did a plane go down or something happen? A car skid out and end up in the cornfield. And then the light moved out onto the road and flew at him very fast. He remembers seeing the light come through the windshield. He said he felt like he got hit by a 200-pound pillow, and he woke up about 45 minutes later, and his car is like 80 to 100 yards down the road, now parked sideways. The clock in his car and his watch have stopped at the exact same time, and they're 15 minutes behind real time. He has burns around his eyes that they equate to welder's burns. the car is affected and impacted, and the two antenna are both bent at like a 90-degree pitch. And you would have had to heat that metal up and slowly bend it to get it to do that. There's no scorch marks. There's nothing. It's pretty remarkable. I got to investigate that car. They let me actually sit in the car, and I noticed a piece of debris in the windshield. Now, people from Honeywell, I believe it was, and Ford, I think was the manufacturer of the car, came out to investigate the car, and they could not explain some of the damage that was done. They just didn't understand. I actually had taken a little piece of tape and I removed the piece of debris from the windshield. I bagged it up in a Ziploc baggie and I sent it to my friend Scott Walter from America Unearthed.
Yes.
He's also here in Minnesota with me, and he is a forensic geologist. And I told him where I got it, and he's big into UFO stuff now. And he said, yeah, I'll take a look at it. And he allowed me to put in the magazine his quote, which was basically, I've seen a lot of things. It's definitely organic. I cannot identify this.
Man.
So there are still secrets 40 some years later that are revealing themselves to us.
It's amazing how these cases just keep on giving.
Yeah. It's like they haven't finished telling their story, and maybe we've
Right.
missed some of these subtle little hints in the past. But as technology continues to get better and our awareness becomes more, we start to notice things.
We have about 3.5 minutes left. I want to get a couple more audience questions in here to
Sure.
our guest, Dave Schrader, tonight. Paramarv is asking, when we come stay at the Palmer House, will we find Shane in the basement sitting in the dark?
As a matter of fact, this May, I am doing an event here at the Palmer House with Cindy Keza and Shane Pittman and myself from Holzer Files, Ghosts of Devil's Perch, and the brand new show Paranormal Mysteries. And we will send Shane to the basement. That's a guarantee. And if you're interested in tickets, we only have about 4 or 5 tickets left. Go to darknessevents.com. That's darknessevents.com. The hotel itself is sold out for that event, but we have the American down the street you can go stay at and do all of the event part here at the hotel. But go check out darknessevents.com. Scroll down. You'll see all the places I'll be this year.
All right. United is asking, have any of these supernatural experiences influenced your religious beliefs, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's actually made them stronger. I've had so many different experiences that it in a way shows me that life does continue. It's just maybe not in a way we understand yet. Plus, I've done a lot in prayer and healing requests and watched remarkable things happen, including our good friend Chris Fleming, the psychic medium, who a year ago was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer, and they told him he had days to live. And I did a huge group prayer with 1,200 people at Michigan Paracon. Within that day, the doctors came back and said, I don't know what's going on, but the cancer has morphed. It's changed, and it's a form of leukemia we can now treat.
Wow.
So I've seen some really remarkable things, and I believe in the power of coming together with good in mind. And I think if we do that, and we do it more often and spend more time in a place of heart space and kindness, we can change the world. I really believe that, Dave.
Beautifully said. One more question as we got about 90 seconds. Unknown is asking, is there life after death in your opinion?
Sometimes I don't know if there's even life during life. People seem to miss out on it so much. But yes, I do firmly believe, Unknown, that we do exist beyond this mortal plane.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Tell everybody where they could find the Palmer House, Paranormal 60, and Paranormal 360.
Go check out the Palmer House on Facebook. Follow our page for updates and cool stuff. Aside from just the spooky stuff, we are a great, fully functioning restaurant, pub, and hotel. We have live music coming up. We've got live events, even some comedy shows, and we'd love to have you out here. You can follow me on social medias as well. And I'd love for you guys to come on out. Tell me you heard about me on the Dave Scott Spaced Out Radio Show. And like I said, if you want to book a weekend stay, a Friday and Saturday, I'll give you a free Thursday night as well. 320-351-9100 to book your reservation.
Dave, I want to say a big thank you to you and all the success in the world at the Palmer House for you and your lovely wife, Winnie, who's also been a guest on this show talking true crime. And I love it when she's on. Her energy is just, I don't know how you keep up with her. I don't.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I did not expect that answer. But
Thank you, Dave.
I always appreciate you. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to head to the swamp with another spooky story that Robin Haynes is going to be in for the cryptid Q&A. Stay tuned. We got a jam-packed hour 3 next. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, buddy. I really appreciate this.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for having me on. And we'll get together. I got to get you on the Paranormal 360 soon. I got questions.
Yeah. Ask away.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Just let me know, bud.
And thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight and was a part of the show. Thanks for the great questions and comments. And I really do hope you'll come on out and check out Sauk Center, Minnesota, and visit me at the Palmer House.
I want to get there. All right, brother.
Bye.
Take care. Dave Schrader, everybody. One of the good guys. We'll be right back. Right. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave. Good to have you with us. Let's bring in Robin. Hi, Robin.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
I am good. We got about a minute to go here. We just had a great 2 hours with Dave Schrader.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and now we get the exciting times of Robin Haynes.
Yeah.
And if any of you have any questions for Robin, please put them in capital letters, and I will get them to Robin during this next segment. Swamp Dweller's a short one. It's only 2 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
2 minutes long. So big thank you tonight to Vaughn Patrick, Benno, Mel WD40, T-Bone, Mama Catherine, Deborah Rooney, and Mark. Thank you very much for your love and support. Thank you for everyone to get us over the 100 mark on the thumbs up for this video. We appreciate it. And you can always shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. And we're coming back in 4 seconds. We are into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Decantate. Decantate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. This happened when I was a small child, probably around 4 after I experienced what I know now was a near-death experience. I was with my grandmother, who was very healthy, still is very healthy for a 70-year-old woman. We went trekking across our property with a picnic basket in tow, just looking to sit down with our dog and have a nice time. Normal grandparent stuff. We ended up crossing the creek. It was dry at the time, to go back to the pasture. Nearby, probably maybe 50 yards away, was our cedar tree. We sat down and started eating when our dog started acting crazy. This dog, bless her soul, was an angel. It did not act like a dog most of the time, though. She rarely ever barked, never really jumped, and always acted very polite. She went nuts, running in circles around us, growling and barking and just acting so vicious, something so out of character for this dog. My grandmother got concerned. So she put our picnic stuff back in the basket and tried to calm her down. I was sitting a few feet away, scared because my dog was growling and acting very out of character. I will admit my memory gets a bit fuzzy around this point, but I remember seeing a very large, gray creature step out of the creek and tree line. We had previously just walked through that area, which is why I remember it being so creepy. My grandmother scooped me up and booked it out of there as fast as possible. Our dog was running with us. I am 90% sure she ran to the cedar tree. She always talks about it being her favorite tree and how protective it is. The tree was a lot closer than her house, which was roughly a half-mile away at this point. I just know our dog calmed down and I was happier once we got to that tree. I don't live in the Southwest. I live in the South Central/East area of Arkansas, close to Louisiana. So I have no idea what this thing could be. Some people say skinwalkers, but like I said, I don't live in the Southwest. Some people say Wendigo, but I don't live up north. So I'm not exactly sure what this is, but if anybody knows, and you can comment down below. Please let me know.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another creepy little story there. If you want more, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to choose from each and every night. It's fantastic. I love his channel. From the swamp to, well, sometimes the swamp, otherwise the forest and everywhere else, we have Robin Haynes coming in for the Cryptid Q&A.
Robin Haynes walks off with a tall tree sway. She hears Bigfoot whisper what the wind won't say. Through the veil of the forest where the wild man plays, the Bigfoot psychic talks to Sasquatch every day. Only on Spaced Out Radio's Cryptid Q&A.
Robin Haynes, we love it when she is here each and every week with us to talk about all things weird and strange in the land of monsters and legend and folklore. Robin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love it every week.
Yes, we are drawing closer to the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, April 24th to 26th, or 25th, pardon me, in the beautiful, beautiful little town. I love it there. They got a Taco Bell.
I know. Your favorite place. Yeah, we've got, our meetings are all kicked up and in high gear for it. We just had one the other day and we are working away at it.
Yes, Grand Island, Nebraska. Beautiful little place.
Yes.
You'll never lose your dog there because it's so flat. You'll see him running for miles.
Oh, yeah. Well, we started out in Hastings, which is really small. And I think 20 minutes from there. And we got big enough where Hastings really wasn't suitable for us anymore. We needed more space. And Nebraska, or Bonner Park in Grand Island, offered the space. And it's like the biggest event center in all of Nebraska, as far as I'm aware of. So that was a big move for us. We were in this itty bitty town of Hastings where nobody said boo, and we made it all the way over to Grand Island. So we're excited. It's going good. Cannot wait to get you there and get your Taco Bell and hit the Mexican restaurant across the street from the hotel.
Yes. Oh,
that's such a good place.
Food.
We're going to do our speaker dinner there again.
Good.
Because it just worked out perfectly. And the hotel was absolutely perfect. And for anybody that does want to come to the conference, if you do go, it's the Ramada Inn. And if you just mention the conference, you'll get a discount on your room.
And you know what? I want to say this to the audience because a few of our listeners actually attended last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this. After the conference is over, inside the hotel, there is this cute little sports bar in there.
Yep.
And we all gather for a drink and share paranormal, cryptid type stories. So to me, if I'm somebody who's attending that conference, I want to go to that little pub afterwards. So that way I can sit back and listen to the stories of the speakers that there's not a lot of people around. So if you're heading there, head to the Ramada, head to the little sports bar in town or in the hotel.
It's right in the hotel.
That's where we'll be. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And that little sports bar is very family friendly. So if you have children or whatever, don't even hesitate. They're fine in there. There was a lot of families with kids. If you want to stay at that hotel, it's very small, little putt-putt course, but it's inside. It's only got 9 holes, but it's really cute. It's right inside, so it's a beautiful hotel. And the people there, they bend over backwards.
Yes.
They are the most accommodating place I think we've ever had before. In fact, they were so good last year that I booked them for this year, last year. Perfect. Before we even left, I was like, we definitely have to have it next year. And Wayne's the manager there, and him and his staff are just tremendous. They are just so good.
We're going to kick off this segment with a question from our audience. This one comes from Derek. Robin, what is your most unique phenomenon experience?
I think I've had a couple. I had one where I was not trying to go in a portal. People don't try to go in portals. Our third dimensional bodies are not made for it. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. I went from one place, next thing I know, I was in another place with the Sasquatch. And it was like they said, put your hand on it, or, lean up against the bush or put your hand on your bush or whatever. And I did. And next thing I know, I was actually where they live. And there were like approximately, and that's an approximation, 8 nests. They all went in a circle, and the opening of each nest faced outward. They were 4.5 feet off the ground, and brush was underneath of it. And then they had branches woven to like a top on all of them. But you could, if you went in them and they went in a circle, there's no way anybody could get into this area without being seen. And it was like a deer trail that went around the opening of these nests. It was just, I'll never forget it in my life. It was absolutely incredible. I'm walking down this little deer trail, and there's no room to move. Like if anything runs down that path, you're done, because you can't go either way. You're either in these nests or you're up against the brush. And when I had got there, they were the ones that had gotten me there. And they had just, said, put your hand on the bush, lean up against the bush. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I did that. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no idea. And then next thing I know, I felt, kind of a little bit dizzy. And the next thing you know, I'm standing in this other place. And then I turned around. Please excuse the dog that's coughing. I have a dog that has bronchitis right now. And yes, he's on medication and being treated by a vet. And I turned around, and there were 3 Sasquatch there. There was a male, a female, and there's a little girl. And they were there. It was incredible. I still to this day think about it. And I'm like, did that really just happen? Although I knew that it happened. And I stayed in there. I was not there long. I had friends that had gone out in the woods with me that night that were outside of it. They had told me to get away from my friends. They didn't want my friends to see this place. And it was in the middle of the night. I heard my friends out there, and that's when the Sasquatch said I was going to have to leave. They said to get out, do the same thing I did to get in. So I went up and put my hands on the bush, and next thing I know, I'm transported back out there. It was incredible. It was one of those, I know this happened. I was awake for this to happen. And it was just one of those moments where you just have a hard time letting your brain play catch up.
Oh man.
When
you experience something like that, because we don't normally talk about your experiences. We usually generalize questions, but when something happens to you personally, how do you feel about that? How do you react?
It was harder for me years ago. Now it doesn't faze me as bad. Years ago, I would be like, okay, please God, who is around me that could verify that I just went through what I just went through? And I got to where if I went in the woods, I brought somebody with me. So when all these incredible things would happen, I had somebody that could vouch and say, yeah, it really did happen. And like I had fallen off the edge of this little drop off, and I was caught around my waist by a cloaked figure. And before I hit the ground, I was picked back up and then moved very carefully over about 5 to 6 feet. I had a friend that witnessed the whole thing, and she's like, I still can't believe that happened. I literally cannot believe that happened. And so I just started making sure somebody was with me all the time. And it was more shocking then to me. Now things happen, and I'm like, okay, this is just the way it is. This is what goes on in a day in my life. So I'm more calmer about it now, and it doesn't tend to faze me. But back then, it was just like, okay, this happened. What can I find that would give me physical proof that this happened? And then I had to learn several years ago just to trust what I was experiencing. I didn't tell everybody. I wasn't at that point, I had done the conference in Siberia, but I wasn't doing all the shows and stuff. And so other than people that were around me, I wasn't telling anybody about it. But there was just a lot of things, like I was out in the yard one day, and Shadow, he's Sasquatch, walks up to me in physical form out in the middle of the yard. He wasn't hiding behind anything. He was just standing there, and he stood there for like 10, 15 minutes before he cloaked. He was in physical form. But even after all of these years, it's really hard sometimes to wrap my head around it. So I take comfort in when there are people around, and when there aren't people around, so much has happened now that I'm like, okay, it just did. I came, they can go from physical form to spirit. When they go into spirit form, they can walk right through a wall and be in your home. And so I was in the shower one day, and I came out of my bathroom, which was attached to my bedroom, and there's one standing in my bedroom. I mean, he's just standing there until he turned around and walked back out through the wall, So every time I see them, it's like the first time all over again. But all these experiences I've gotten now where I'm just like, okay, I think I'm getting numb to it. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely different. But I think going to their home and that nest, the bottom of it, after, because there was brush underneath outside, this was airtight. There was not a drop of water coming in. And it came up to my chest, and I'm 5'9.5", 5'10". And that's where the base of it that they would climb into. And you could get like a 2.5 car garage in each one. It was that big. And I remember standing there and kind of leaning my head into it, thinking, God, I should, I could climb up in this. And I thought, God, this is like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and decided I didn't want to be caught in there when whoever was sleeping there came back home. But then when I turned around, I was very shocked to see the three of them standing there. I did not anticipate that. The male never spoke. I got mind speak from the female, and the little girl just kind of stood there, and she would smile once in a while. But the male never said a word. The only communication I got was strictly from the female.
Wow.
My friends remember that night vividly. They didn't know what had happened to me. At that time when I left, the female said nobody could know about it. I did not talk about that particular incident for probably 20 years. Like, I didn't. They told me not to.
I got a question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to change the topic on another question for you.
Sure.
If that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there is an inner earth that houses a lot of these cryptids?
100% believe in inner earth. I've had visions of it. I've been asked, because I do remote viewing, I've been asked to remote view what was in there. And the thing with me is, number one, I love to read, but I don't. Okay. Number one, I don't have time because I'm busy working with other people, but I don't want any preconceived images or thoughts from something that I might read in a book on certain things. So like, I've never went and read a book on, what would be considered an inner earth. I don't read books on the cryptids or anything. Anything that I've learned, I was taught from by them. So that's why. And every vision I've ever had, any remote viewing that I've ever done, it's almost like lava tubes with these huge open chambers inside. And there are cryptids in there. I think there are more, not that there's not cryptids in there, but I think there's more aliens in there than I would say would be a cryptid. But yeah, they go in and out of there. I mean, the stuff that I've seen, I saw chambers that had 2 moons and 2 suns in it. Like, it was really strange. And various things that were coming in and out of it. So yeah, I believe in it 100%.
Do you think then that Sasquatch maybe has portals or openings or caves with tunnels towards this inner earth all over the, let's say, North America?
I think all over the world. They are multidimensional. I know they go in and out of portals. I've watched them do it. They've taught me how to open and close them. So, as well as rifts and various things. And so I know they exist. It's not a do I think it. I've seen it. But they go through multi-dimensions. Can they go down into inner earth? There's absolutely no reason to believe, from what I've been shown by them, that they can't. Have I watched them go into inner earth? No, I've not watched them go into inner earth. I've watched them go into the portals, which can go dimensionally or wherever they choose to have them go. But I also know that they will do tunnels down underground, and they'll live under there. They can go down there. They're safe. Nobody knows they're there. And when I lived in Michigan, they had them all underneath my property. The property I had there was all sand. You know, there's light dirt, but it was a lot of sand. And there's another place that I know of in a different state that I frequent. And when I was there was a tornado, and they kept, and this is a place that you wouldn't see caves. You don't see caves anywhere. And they were like, come on, come with us. Don't try to leave. Come with us because of the weather. Go down in the caves. And I said, there's no caves here. And they said, where we go, there is. And I said, there is no caves here. Seriously, no caves. And they wanted me to go with them because it would be safer. I didn't. I said, no, I was going to try to get back to my hotel. Got in the car, tried to go to the hotel, only to find out that a tornado had come through and I had a car almost drop down on me. But they kept trying to stop me getting out the driveway. They were throwing trees down in front of my car and everything. They were just very adamant. No, come with us to the caves. You're safer there. You're safer there. And I probably should have, because I would have been safer. But that was in an area that there were no caves. But they'll make caves underground. They'll do whatever they need to do.
We got 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Robin Haynes is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. How do we find these caves?
I don't think you can.
As humans, can we?
I'm not going to say you can't, because I don't believe that anything is impossible. It would be very difficult. They do this, what I don't know what the proper term is for it, but what I call mirroring, where you don't even know they're there. I have on one part of my road, it's where they cut through the rock to make the road. And I've literally watched a Sasquatch walk down the hill, walk up to this rock, have it open up. It walked through it into this hole in the rock, and then the rock closed. So if they don't want you to find where they're at, you're not going to find them. When I went that night and I went through that portal to where they lived, it just looked like a group of trees. But you couldn't penetrate the trees. You couldn't get in there to save your soul. So they block it. It makes it look different. You can't find it. If they don't want you to find it, you're not going to find it. There are cave systems that are out there that easily we can find. But if it's something that they've created, you're not going to find it.
Right. That just sounds so secretive. It's almost like a secret society.
Yeah. And I think people are going to be very much awakened within the next 3 or 4 years on the things that they're going to see from not only the cryptids, but the aliens and everything else. So, for the people that are awakened, if you want to call it, you're going to love the show. For the people that aren't, hang on to your hats, because it's going to blow your mind. But these are people that are in that third dimension. Their brains are not set up to be able to accept it. Their brains reject it. It's not even their fault. They're in that third dimension. That's why it's so imperative to get into that higher frequency, because what's going to be coming up for the next part of this show is going to blow everybody's minds. And it's not going to be tomorrow. It will be within, the next few years. So, when you're in that lower frequency, you stay in that 3D, and your brain is not equipped to handle a lot of these things. It will never accept it. You've got to have a higher frequency to be able to accept what's going on. And it's still in reality, but you have to be able to accept it, because people are just going to be shocked.
But what is that reality with 35 seconds to go?
We live in a matrix. There's multiple planes, multiple things that are going on. I think we're going to see within the next, I would say 2 to 5 years, much more disclosure on the aliens and the cryptids, because they're all done being in the dark. So, and there's a lot more technology that's coming out. So people are going to have to just get ready.
Robin Haynes is here tonight for the Cryptid Q&A. Of course, we take audience questions. If you're in one of our chat rooms, you're in Radio Land just tuning in, I hope you're enjoying tonight's show, as we are about to enter the final half hour tonight with the Cryptid Q&A. Robin Haynes, my name is Dave Scott, and we will return. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear.
Yeah, I think people are going to be very amazed if things go down the way the aliens and the cryptids and the dimensionals and elementals want it. Things are going to drastically change. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow, but definitely within the next years.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think it will too. And the thing of it is a lot of it is starting to come out, but I think people turn a blind eye to it because it's just not something that's accepted. But when you stay in that third dimensional brain, it doesn't allow you. It's like people with trauma that have it blacked out. They're constantly wanting, I get calls all the time, and they want me to do a psychic reading on them so they can find out what that blacked out time period happened. Can I do it? Yeah, I can. Should you do it? No. Your third dimensional brain can't handle that kind of trauma. When you go into that higher frequency and you're able to be in that higher frequency, the memories will come back because you're at a high enough frequency to deal with the trauma. And I think this is going to be right along the same wavelength. So many things, so much technology, so many changes that are going to be going on, and the cryptids are going to be all part of it. I mean, they're coming more out now than they have since I could remember. They're connecting with more people.
I can see that. I don't know how long it'll continue, but I could definitely see that happening.
I think it depends on us because they've tried, like in my lifetime, they've tried several times to be more forthcoming with our humans and to have more contact. Not all of them. A lot of them just want to be left alone. And we're the ones that shut it down. We do, because we don't go out of that third dimension. And in the third dimension, our brain is not capable of acknowledging that they're real. And we shut it down. And we're the problem. They're not the problem. We are. But at the end of the day, we all share this planet. So it's like, jump on board because it's there.
Right.
Well, and there's power with information.
Excuse me.
As you learn about them, there's power in that. And I don't mean, like a takeover power, but there's a freedom and an acknowledgement of these things. If you're going to be able to get along with them, you have to acknowledge what they are.
That you do, Robin. And that's hard for a lot of us.
It is. It certainly isn't easy. I mean, I grew up experiencing it, and it was hard for me. It really was, because I was like, okay, this is really going on. And then I would have a friend over or something, and I'm like, you saw that, right?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, this is crazy. What's going on? People that I knew as a kid are saying, you remember when you showed me the Sasquatch? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about it. Situations where there were people with me. I had a woman that I knew that I went to church with, and I was babysitting her small son. And I didn't let a lot of people come to my house because the Sasquatch walked around freely all the time, uncloaked. And she pulled into my yard to bring me her baby to watch. And she came in the house and grabbed me and ran me into the other room. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, you aren't going to believe what I just saw. And I'm like, what did you see? And she said, I pulled in your driveway, and walking across your driveway where the trees are at was this huge, tall, hairy man-looking thing. She said that thing had to be 8 or 9 feet tall. And she's like, do you even know they're there? And I'm like, yeah, they're here all the time. But so people would find out that they were at my house, whether I wanted them to. I tried really hard not to, but I kept a lot of people away to try to protect them. But, if I had occasionally somebody over, they would see them. Which, on one hand, it was good because it gave validity to what I was seeing, and I didn't think I was nuts, but there's so much of it that goes on. I would walk in Michigan. I'd walk through the woods, and I knew they were right there cloaked, and I would watch footprints being made in the snow or on the dirt. Well,
Right.
nothing was standing there, but yet I'm watching the footprints be made.
What, Robin, hold on right there because we're going to come back in just a couple of seconds here. Get your questions ready for Robin. Here we go, everyone. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Robin Haynes of the Cryptid Q&A coming up here momentarily. But first, we want to remind you that all of our archives are free. Yeah, they are. On YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Robin Haynes, thank you for coming on in. We always appreciate you joining us. And you know what? One of the things I wanted to ask you, okay, was in regards to communication.
Mm-hmm.
Not just with Sasquatch or Dogman or these cryptids, but there's a lot of technical gear out there that we are using in paranormal investigation, even cryptid investigation, you know, whether it's everything from a K2 meter to a drone up above. What do you think about the technology that people are using?
I have very good and bad thoughts about it. First off, I don't use the technology. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. I just use me. I'm an intuitive. I mind speak. I do all these things. So I don't really need the technology. However, I have a problem with the drones only because it would be great if people just use the drones to be able to see things or learn things. Unfortunately, we get a lot of really bad people that use them to track them and hurt them, the cryptids. And so that's why I have problems with the drones, because they can't get away from it because they're in the sky. The military uses it to hunt them down, to shoot darts in them, to try to tag them, to do all these things. So it's not the equipment that I have the problem with, it's the intent and the usage of it as far as how they do it. Now, do I think some of this equipment is really good and can be used? Yeah. I also know that they can avoid some of it. Now, I have, someone had gifted it to me, a night vision binoculars. Okay, and it'll show thermal on it. I honestly don't use it. I have a couple of times, but I have noticed they can avoid these. If we think that any of these equipment are 100% foolproof, they are not. Like, I literally was standing 10 feet from one out in the woods at night. I was filming for a movie that they did, and I could, without this, I could see him. He was sitting there right behind a tree watching. I'd put the night vision on and I could see it. But if I would go to turn the thermal on, nothing would throw on the thermal. And I literally watched him get up as he walked away, and it wouldn't throw the thermal. So I don't know if it has to do with when they try to do the cloaking and the vibrational thing. I don't know. But I do know it does not always pick them up. Most of the time you can get them on a thermal, but not all the time. So if anybody thinks that any of this equipment is foolproof, my personal opinion is it's not. It can be used effectively, but they can avoid it if they really and truly focus on it hard enough, because they did. I watched them do it. And I had other people that were with me at that time that did the same thing, and they had the same experience I did. But I think the equipment is great. I think that it works to a degree, as much as anything else does with these things. But the only problem I have with it is safety for them. You know, people that are just interested in learning and having that experience or whatever, they're fine with it. But then there's always got to be somebody that's going to take it to the next level and use it to harm them. You know, so that makes me a little bit more nervous with all the technology we've got going.
What do you think attracts them to technology?
The frequency. Anything with the frequency they're drawn to, like a moth to a flame. But at the same time, any of these things with the frequency and this technology, they can destroy in a heartbeat. All they have to do is focus on it. They'll zap it just like they would zap a person, just like with security cameras. You know, I had 2 security cameras in the front of my house, not because I wanted to do anything, you know, ominous to them. My goodness, I'd never hurt them. I was watching deer. I loved it. I'd sit on my bed at night, go on my app on my phone. I could watch a security cam, and I had deer playing all over in my front yard, and I loved it. That's all I was doing it for. And I got them on it multiple times. I mean, they are always getting on there, walking around the cars and doing various things. But it took all of 2 seconds for them to focus pushing frequency or zapping on those cameras, and they fried all the cameras at one time from the inside out. And they can do the same thing with this other equipment. It's not that they can't. They have to be in the frame of mind where, you know, they're conscious of, okay, this is the device they have. Once you start moving energy, there is nothing you cannot do, whether it's telekinesis, whether it's, you know, zapping, whatever. It's all moving energy and frequency. And that's what they do. That's how they do it.
How do we know when we're being zapped or equipment is being zapped?
The equipment will go into failure. The batteries will get drained. It will cease to work. It'll start acting wonky for no reason. You know, like even on a cell phone, it'll be blinking on and off and going all over the place. For a person, I will say this. I have been very fortunate. I have never been zapped, knock on wood. I'm sure my time is coming. But I have had people standing shoulder to shoulder with me that have gotten zapped, and they drop them right on the ground. Anything from being nauseous, getting a headache. I've seen people wet themselves, defecate themselves, grab their head in so much pain they can't stand up, and they're withering around on the ground. I'm standing there and they haven't zapped me. And it's nothing special about me. They just have chosen not to do it. Do I think it will come at some time? I'm sure. Anybody that gets out in the field runs the risk of it. It's a defense mechanism for them. They take the frequency and energy from their body and they literally throw it like you would throw a softball and at their target, and they can pick who they want it done. It doesn't, like, just because they throw it to the right, not everybody on the right's getting taken out. It is specific to whoever they want and the strength as well as what goes on. You know, they can stop somebody's heart if they wanted to do it hard enough. I know people that have had to go to the hospital afterwards. I was out doing blessings on babies one day. I wasn't even planning on doing that. I was out walking in the woods. I had a friend of mine with me. We're just walking around, and the mom said, you know, they wanted me to bless a couple of the babies. And I was like, all right, you know, I've done it multiple times. They told me where to go. I did. My friend was with me when they asked me. So I didn't honestly think that it was an issue. A little bit strange that they would want her to go, but I wasn't concerned because they knew she was there. And we got probably 20 feet from where these babies were. And I turned around and my friend is like withering around on the ground, grabbing her head, crying, going, make it stop, tell him to stop. And I turned around and faced where I knew they were at, because they were in this brush. And I said, you know, what are you doing? Just stop it. And they said, well, she can't be near the babies. And I said, well, I'm not helping you if you don't stop it. I mean, she was like literally on the ground, just sobbing. And so they stopped it immediately. And when they stopped it, she got up. She was very lightheaded. She had a headache, that type of thing. But she was all right. I had another friend that we had gone, it was into a national forest. And we're walking through. We'd been there many times. It was not the first time. And when they zapped her, there was no pain involved. They put her to sleep. She was literally standing there. And she said, I feel so funny. And she walked over to a tree. She was on the ground at the base of the tree and she was unconscious. And I'm standing there going, okay, guys, what is the deal? What is it you want? They wanted to talk to me about some things. I did. I talked to them. I helped them do what they needed to do. And then she woke right up. And she said, that was the craziest thing ever. She said, I didn't feel pain. She said, I felt like my body vibrated and all I wanted to do was sleep. She said, I couldn't stand up. So they are capable of doing a great deal, and it's all done with frequency.
I want to ask you a couple things about Flight 21.
Sure.
I don't know whether I'm getting called back or I'm getting the itch, knowing that it's right around the corner, at least 4 months from now.
Well, I will tell you this, the Sasquatch that are there want you back. Like they are very anxious about when are you coming back, because it's been a few weeks, but they've contacted me about where is he, and I'm like, he will be back. Wait till the snow goes away, and he will be back. And we're waiting. I said okay. So I think that it's both. If you want my opinion, I think some of it is that pull from them. Any of the cryptids and the ETs, spirits, whatever, they have the ability to get inside your head and make you think it's your thought when it's theirs. I've had them do that to me sometimes. Like I'll get even some of the bad ones that want me to come to a certain area. And I just have this overwhelming urge to go. And it's like I have to get it in my head that it's not always me that is putting that in there. But I think, that's a place that brings you great joy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it would be normal when you're not there for you to have that pull there. And I feel like you have some kind of an energetic connection there now. You are tied to that place. That's not ever going to go away. Even if you went and started, doing research somewhere else, you have an energetic tie there now.
It's funny you say that, because earlier in tonight's show, Dave Schrader, who is our guest, he actually stated how he has a connection to the Palmer house that he just purchased.
Yeah.
And that he is going to be, he feels that he's one of them now.
Yeah.
And a caretaker for them. And I could really resonate with that when it comes to Flight 21, because like I feel very protective of the place. I feel
Absolutely
very energetically aligned with it.
Yeah. And there's a place in Georgia, and I'm not going to give out locations, but I have a friend that lives there, him and his wife. And I had went there to visit him one time, and there's this very small park. And part of the park has got Sasquatch on it. Part of it has dogmen on it. And it's a good 2-hour drive or better for me, one way. And I went there that one time, and I have this huge connection with him. I drive up there all the time. I'll be sitting at home, and they'll be like, we need you up here. We need you to come now. Okay. Jump in the car, and I drive up there. I go up there. I don't even go visit my friend. I just go up there to be with them. I walk through the park. I go sit where they want me to sit. They talk to me. We've gotten a few photos of them there. And I go by myself a lot of the time. Sometimes I'll go with other people, but generally it's by myself. And you get this energetic tie there to some of these places. And I just really feel strongly that, like for you, that area, that's always going to be a special place to you. I don't care how many other places you go. You have a tie there. You have a connection with those beings there. There's a reason when you guys go there, and when, you would go, they would come out. You always had those 3 that would come out to greet you. You would have ET activity there. You would have spirit activity there. You had dogman activity there. They have gotten used to your energy signature. They know your energy signature is not going to hurt them. So now they've established that contact. It doesn't just go away.
Yeah,
As long as they're there, they're going to want you there.
I have decided that I am going to try something different this year. I'm going to just minorly break one of my rules.
Uh-oh, he's going rogue.
I'm going rogue. I have been very anti-food at my location because of animals.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm going to bring food there, I don't want to see a bear or a mountain lion or something like that eat the food. No offense. It would be cool if I could get it on camera or on trail cam. But I have decided this year that I am going to get some peanut butter jars.
Yeah, they love those.
I want to see what happens with the peanut butter jars.
Yeah, they are really good at opening the peanut butter jars. And I would put like brand new jars of peanut butter out there, and they would unscrew the top, and I'd get the jar back. Eventually I'd find it somewhere. And there'd be all the peanut butter would be out of it, and there would be fingerprints on the inside of the jar where they would put their finger in there and swipe it around. And And this isn't something that you probably could do where you're at, but I had at one time a welded rabbit cage. It was on wheels, and the bottom was welded shut. You couldn't get in through the bottom. It had a pull-out tray underneath the cage, but it had a top on it. The lid on it, you could open it up to put the rabbit in, and we no longer had the rabbit. I wheeled it out into the woods, and I took snaps, and I put snaps on the door that opened up, and I put snaps all the way around. I had like 10, 12 snaps on it, and they couldn't get in any other way because it was welded all the way around. It was the only way in. And I would put a plate with food on it and leave it in there, and I would go out the next day, and I always took a picture of the cage and the snaps when I put the food in it, so I could have video proof of where these snaps were. So if it got moved, it wasn't just in my mind. And I would go out the next day, all the snaps would have been undone. The plate would be gone. There's no way to get the plate out of there. There's no opening other than the door. The plate would be gone. The food would be gone. They would leave a live possum. Nobody's been gifted as many possums as I have. A live possum in there and all the snaps put back on. And when I would pull up the picture of it from the night before, the snaps had been moved to different spots. But you couldn't even get 3 fingers into the spot between the snaps because I put that many on. There was nothing under a dozen snaps on there. So it was impossible to get a plate in and out, or the possum could not get in it. And this went on and on and on. And, you know, I would come up with all these different ways so I would know what was getting the food. Because in Michigan, where I had, in my property, I had black bear that came through there. I had cougars that came through, bobcats, fox, coyotes, whatever. So if they were going to knock the cage around, that was one thing, but they couldn't get into the food. And I had these snaps, and they would just undo the snaps, but they always put the snaps back on. It was hysterical. They're never in the right place, but they put them back on. So, I mean, you have to come up with different ideas to do it, but peanut butter jars are the best way to start because you have to have thumbs and hands in order to unscrew the top.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's a great way to get fingerprints.
I'm very nervous about it. Not that I'm afraid to put those cans out and, you know, get the fingerprints or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. But, you know, once again, we're going to have a year of transition with a few more people there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to do it right at the beginning, but I may, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be careful too, because you have a lot more predators there than what I have. Like I get them that come through,
Yes.
but yours are much more intense, and you don't want to draw predators to your area.
That's very true.
You know, so it's a little bit different for you. It's a little bit riskier, I think, on your end. I think if it was something where don't do it frequently, you know, just because not of the cryptids, but the predators. You don't want them to think that that's an area where it's a food source.
Yeah. And that is the concern.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
the concern. And that's why I kind of think that in regards to the peanut butter, I'd put one by the gifting site,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one in a different area. But the good news is, you know, if a predator does smell it, they'll probably carry it away, you
Yeah.
know, and you'll never see it again. Whereas if the Bigfoot take it, you might find it again.
They would take the peanut butter jars, and I had the biggest jar that you could get, and I would put it out there, and they would take it, and I would find it way out in the woods. But when I found it, the jar wasn't disrupted at all. They had taken the lid off of it, the peanut butter was gone, and then there was fingerprint swirls on the inside. So they would take it from the gifting area and they would take it somewhere else and eat it. You know, occasionally they would open it right there. It just depends on the individual, you know, because they're all so different. But I mean, it would be worth a try. Like I said, I wouldn't do it where, you know, every time you go out there, because you're going to bring in predators, they're going to expect it to be there.
We got about a minute 45, maybe 2 minutes left. And once again, it always flies by with you.
Yeah, that's fun.
how do you maintain communication with these creatures from all over? How do you just tune on in?
I think I've done it for so long, it's second nature. Like, I don't really think about it. I focus on my intent, which is who I want to talk to, where we're at. But they are pretty good about staying and talking to me, whether I want it or not. You know, whether it's the good or the bad ones, as far as that goes. But you keep your frequency high so that you're open to the mind speak. Talk to them in your mind. When you're talking to them in your mind, you're getting put on their radar. Whether or not they respond is up to them, but you are on their radar when you have your frequency high enough and you're thinking about them all the time, and it literally puts you on their radar. And so, like in my case, because I do various things for them as they want me to, and I have a choice. I don't automatically have to do it, but they'll come and get me for various things, whether it's for healing, whether it's, a blessing, whether it's to move energy, and all of these things, to be clear, they can do for themselves. But rather than use their energy, they'd rather tap into ours. And some things they need our energy and their energy at the same time. So I get a lot of communication from them that way. Or if they want me to go somewhere to do something, they'll make sure that they get hold of me. So it's pretty much an even thing. But there's times that it'll go 2 or 3 days and I don't hear anything because they're off doing something. And I'll, reach out and be like, is everybody okay out there? And whoever answers. So it's pretty much a two-way street.
Robin, a big thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio again. We will talk to you next week.
Absolutely. And it's so good to see everybody here, everybody.
It is always so much fun when Robin is here. We always enjoy it as we say goodnight to her. And hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X and hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if they want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job tonight, Robin. Good job. Hold on, let me unmute you. There we go.
I said thank you. It's always fun. I have a good time with everybody.
Yes, we love you here.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Right.
When you think about it, if you want me to update your bio or your picture, get it over to me, because I got to get everybody's in. And then I'm going to get hold of that friend of yours that's doing it as well.
Varla?
Varla. Yeah, I had mentioned it to her when I talked to her, and I haven't talked to her since, but I need a bio and a headshot from her.
Okay.
So if you talk to her, either send her my way, or if you could pass that along to her, that would be really helpful, because I need to get it up within the next week or so.
I will text her right now. How about that?
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I've got to get it so that I can get it over to Tamara and get it up on the site. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait. And I'm anxious to meet her. She sounds wonderful.
I've just sent that to her. Just a pick and bio, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No
And I
problem.
love you, and I will see everybody next week.
All right. And
Bye,
I
babe.
love everybody too, everyone. I do. Thank you to
We will-
T-Bone times 2, Mama Catherine, Deborah Rooney, Mark, Mel WD40, Benno, and Vaughn Patrick for the super chats. Tomorrow night on the show, Science Bob is taking the night off. He's got some science to do. So Olaf Phillips is going to be joining us for the adventure. We're going to get into a lot of Black Project stuff. One of my favorite topics. We don't do that enough around here. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, okay? Stay cool, stay tuned, and stay away from FAP. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.